And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Sergeant First Class Aaron Causey of the United States Army, and his wife, Kat Causey, and Senior Vice President of Operations for the USO and Captain in the United States Navy Reserve, Alan Reyes.
To honor the spirit and importance of Memorial Day, Coca-Cola and the USO are proud to salute America's servicemen and women and their families around the world. To give the command, here with me today is Sergeant First Class Aaron Causey and his wife, Kat. Sergeant Causey is a veteran of both the Air Force and Army and has served tours in both Iraq and Afghanistan. Please join us in saying the most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael and I will be here to enjoy the race along with you, and thank you for watching. Let's take you through the guys who will guide you all 600 miles upstairs to call the race. Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy. I hope you guys are ready for a long but exciting night.
Absolutely, Chris, and thank you. 54 years in the running. It's always been stock car racing's longest race. Darrell, how do you win it?
Well, it's an interesting race because of the conditions. You start in the daylight and you end up in the dark. But you have to have patience. I know that's contrary to what a driver would normally say, but there's two things a driver has to work on tonight. His patience. Don't hit the panic button, and then pace. As the night progresses, the pace will pick up. That's when you need the most patience. That's usually when they're the thinnest.
The sun that is broiling us is doing the same to turns 2 and 3. And Larry, as Darrell said, it's 3 different races: daytime, dusk, and nighttime.
In every one of those segments is roughly 200 miles, and as the track cools off, it's going to gain grip. The way the car drives for the driver is going to change, and it's going to get much faster. But that driver that can give the right feedback to that team, and that team that can be aggressive with those changes all night long, that'll probably be the group in victory lane at the end of 600 miles.
The final and longest event in worldwide auto racing's biggest day begins next, right here on Fox. From Concord, North Carolina, NASCAR on Fox presents the Coca-Cola 600. NASCAR's longest night in front of a full infield and a mostly full grandstand is ready to roll. Cars are running and ready to roll off. Let's hear from some of the drivers about racing tonight for 600 miles.
The longest race of the year. 600 grueling miles. Starts at a day, ends at night. Round and round and round and round.
You're mentally trained to run 400 or 500 miles, so that last 100 miles is different than what your body and your mind are used to.
It's like driving to Kansas, back home.
You gotta make sure you maintain mental focus all the way through the race.
It's the longest race ever in the history of mankind. I mean, it's brutal.
It's Charlotte. Here's a look at the Geico starting grid for tonight's race. Denny Hamlin, first Charlotte pole. He finished here second in both races last year. Kurt Busch won this race from second on the grid 3 years ago. Matt Kenseth got his first career win in this race. Mark Martin 4 times a 600 winner. Clint Boyer, winner here in October. Casey Kane won it last year. 3 victories for Kane. Greg Biffle finished 4th last year. Kyle Busch in the top 10. He's been second here twice. Jamie McMurray's won the fall race here twice, and Ryan Newman second in 2009. Dale Earnhardt Jr. made his first career Cup start here. Jimmy Johnson's a 6-time Charlotte winner, including 3 600s. Carl Edwards, a best finish of 3rd, and Jeff Gordon, way back in '94, scored his first of 87 career wins. Then it's Kevin Harvick, the 2011 winner. And one Pablo Montoya, who's won the other 2 big Memorial Day weekend races, Indy and Monaco. Martin Truex Jr., 7th in '05. Eric Almirola, top 10 in 4 of the last 5 races. And rounding out the top 20, Marcus Ambrose, 6th in 2011. And Brad Keselowski, 5th last year, just off the plane from Indianapolis.
Well, let's see if we can get Clint Boyer on the phone here. Clint Boyer, DW, got a copy there, my friend?
I got you, pal.
Hey, Clint, I heard in an interview you said that this 600-mile race is brutal. What did you do tonight to prepare for 600 brutal miles?
You got a camera right there. I'll show you.
That's going to run out just about the time this race does, I think.
Yeah, man, it's a long one. You've been here several times. You just got to get after it. The hardest thing to do is keep up with this racetrack. Seems like ever since they've repaved this thing, it's just a bear to keep a hold of. All the way through practice sessions and stuff. One minute you're frustrated, the next minute you're satisfied. You just don't know what to trust. You got a lot of adjustability built in a race car. Got a great team behind you with Brad, Patty, and everybody in this 5-hour Energy Toyota. Gotta stay with it. Be there at the end of this baby. Get good fuel mileage if you need it, and hopefully be a winner.
Yeah, we do have the camera, and it's a great shot, by the way. You look right racy sitting in that thing. We'll keep an eye out for you tonight. Good luck, and don't run out of energy.
Big Daddy.
Tonight's race is brought to you by Budweiser, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, fast finish. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Get down to our NASCAR on Fox All-Star Pit Crew, beginning with Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, as you said, Kurt Busch won this race back in 2010, but he's in a 54-race winless drought. Now, I talked to his crew chief, Todd Barrier, and he said that Kurt is ready to win for this Furniture Road team. They have lots of speed. They will roll off from the front row, but this team has to have a flawless race with no mistakes, Matt Yoakum.
Steve, Casey Kane, he excels in the longer duration races, 500 and 600 miles, and endurance is the key word tonight. Shortly after midnight, Casey began to experience flu-like symptoms. Once arriving at the racetrack, he went to the Infield Care Center, and he had not one but 2 IV bags. Now, Casey told me shortly before getting in the car, he feels good, up to the task of 600 miles, but his biggest concern, just how free this racetrack will be in the daylight portion. He set the tone in practice, Chris Devoda. He had the best car, P1, in both sessions.
Well, this is a race of patience, not exactly a Kyle Busch attribute. Or is it? Crew Chief Dave Rogers told me Kyle is looking towards the end of the race. Over the last 2 weeks, there have been 2 points races here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch has won them both, but the only victory lane that matters now is 600 miles away. Jeff Hammond, are you up on that big screen? Where are you?
No, Krista, I'm not. As a matter of fact, I'm up here. Bring it over here. The Sprint Unlimited Cam. I'm talking about it. Bring it over here. This is where I am. And tonight, with the help of this camera, folks, we're going to try to keep up what could be a record-breaking 600-mile race here at Charlotte. That's right. It's going to be fast, and it's all because of that new Gen 6 car. Now, with speed, well, it could bring some issues. I'm talking about mechanical issues, such as with the engines. The other thing is the drivers, well, they got to be focused longer than they ever had throughout this 2013 season and trust that their crew chiefs are going to make them happy by the end of the night. Also, on this Memorial Weekend, we want to wish everybody a happy weekend and remember those who gave their all for our freedom as well as the blessings we all enjoy. Mike?
Thank you, Jeff. We echo those comments. I was a little worried about you. A couple of years ago, we had a Wallenda walk one of those wires up there. Hope you weren't going to try that. 76 degrees is the warmest it's been all week here at the Speedway. The track temp in the sun, 105. Along the backstretch through turns 2 and 3. No breeze, plenty of suntan oil as they roll toward turn number 3. It takes 400 laps to go 600 miles. The pit road speed, 45 miles an hour, and they'll need Sunoco race fuel at least every 46 to 50 laps. Danica Patrick, engine trouble in practice. Same for Trevor Bayne. And Joe Nemechek has changed the transmission, so they will go to the rear. Here's our sprint breaking down the race. As we talked about, it's a 3-part event. The heat and the sunlight of daytime. And then, how is dusk different?
Well, the big thing right now, Mike, I look at turn 2 and turn 3, it has sunlight on it, but turn 4 and turn 1 is in shade.
Then the nighttime is the right time, and here we go for 600 miles in Charlotte.
Folks, everybody's on their feet. Today we honor the American flag. Tonight these drivers are racing for the checkered flag. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go Memorial Day racing, drivers!
Busch on the high side, racing for 6th. As the first couple of rows quickly settled single file. Now Busch drops in line ahead of Mark Martin. Denny Hamlin, the pole sitter at 195 miles an hour, has led the first lap. And look at all this jostling mid-pack teammates. 24 Gordon, 48 Johnson side by side for 13th.
We'll get around to those patients in a little bit here. We got to get things settled down just a little bit.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. inside of Ryan Newman for 10th.
Mike, fortunately right now the track's at its worst, but the cars are at their best. Fresh tires, a lot of grip right now.
Yeah, restarts all night long will be exciting because these drivers know that's when they really need to get it and get it quick.
Carl Edwards, the 99, moves up under Newman, and here comes Johnson to capitalize in the 48.
Jimmy Johnson in the 48 fell victim to an early qualifying draw. Had to go out early when we were in this condition right here. The later it got, the faster the racetrack got in qualifying Thursday night.
So Johnson has to come from 12th starting position.
And Larry, when you start this race, for a little while here, you're going to say, am I at the same track? Is this the track we've been on for 2 weekends over here? But it will come to you.
All the practice has been in the daytime and in a variety of conditions. Full clouds, partially sunny, and full sunlight. Not quite as warm as it is this afternoon.
Oh, yeah, and the other thing the driver will be saying, what did y'all do to my car? This is not the same car I drove over here yesterday.
Well, the one thing Denny Hamlin then at 11 is wondering, my teammate Matt Kenseth back there at 20 really starting to reel Denny Hamlin in.
2 Joe Gibbs Toyotas at the front of the field.
Well, my pick to win this race is that 20 car of Matt Kenseth, and I'll tell you why. This is the kind of race that Matt Kenseth sort of sits there and lets come to him. But if he gets up here and takes the lead tonight, that's totally out of character.
Casey Kane and Kurt Busch side by side for 3rd, and for the lead on the inside. Here comes Matt Kenseth, new to the Joe Gibbs team and the number 20 this year. He had a good try there on Denny Hamlin, his teammate.
A lot of people ask me, well, did teammates help each other? Did they work together? They didn't hire Matt Kenseth to work with Denny Hamlin. They didn't hire him to work against Denny Hamlin. They hired him to win the race.
Single file back through 15th position. Here is Montoya on the inside of Menard, and Ambrose going inside Newman for the lead again. Boy, Kenseth got a great run off turn number 2, carries it full steam into 3, but Hamlin's not giving it up.
No, but that high line should prevail, get that nice momentum up off turn 4, and really gap that second place car, Denny Hamlin.
And Casey Kane in the 5. A Rick Hendrick Chevrolet that dominated both practice sessions yesterday.
And he was in the infield care center this morning getting 2 bags of IV. He got sick last night, talking about Casey Kane.
But, and I know he doesn't feel well. Casey Kane maybe doesn't feel well, but we used to do that, Larry. We used to go into the care center on Sunday morning and get fluids so we'd be well hydrated for the race. So it could work in his advantage.
7 laps complete, Kenseth the leader. You're watching from Danica Patrick. Trevor Bayne in the middle. Wood Brothers 21. Little contact there. Was that Michael McDowell just ahead? And Kane is hunting the lead from Matt Kenseth.
Mike, one thing to remember about our cars, you watch the Indy 500 today, and the thing is, our cars, we sit behind the engine. All the heat that engine generates, all the heat from the front brakes and the tires and everything else, just comes right up in the cockpit with the driver. Very hot in the race cars right now.
That's Greg Biffle behind Jamie McMurray in the 1 for 8th place. Chevy versus Ford battle. That's Chip Ganassi's car number 1. One of 2 cars he has in this race along with Montoya.
Jamie McMurray in the 1 looked awfully good last weekend. He won that sprint showdown, and Greg Biffle, he's been carrying the Ford banner all weekend long. Top qualified Ford driver, highest running right now.
10 of 400 laps complete in Charlotte. Matt Kenseth leading Casey Kane by 1/10 of a second. "14 laps complete in the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte. Matt Kenseth leading Casey Kane by half a second now. Denny Hamlin, Clint Boyer, Kurt Busch, the top 5. Scott Speed has now made 2 unscheduled pit stops. He's a veteran of both the Grand Prix of Monaco and the Coke 600. Looking back from Clint Boyer at Denny Hamlin, Matt.
And Denny Hamlin is moving around the racetrack, Mike, like several other drivers, because his race car is super tight from the center, especially when he tries to get back in the gas. He's having to climb the hill and move around at this portion of the racetrack. This is what the crew chiefs call the treacherous portion of the race.
Well, this is when the track has the least amount of grip, especially in turn 2 and turn 3 that's in direct sunlight.
Yeah, that's why, Larry, I was watching the 48 car, Jimmy Johnson. You just can't be really aggressive right now. You got to really be careful when you get around other cars, and particularly when you're trying to run side by side with somebody. Cars are a little free right now. Got to be careful with them.
Look at the sun and the glare, shade from the grandstand and the VIP suites through the quad oval and toward turn number 1. There are the condominiums outside turn 1. So now you're nice and shady and comfortable. Bam! Sunlight.
But when you drive into turn 3 and when you start to turn into the corner, that's when you're looking directly into the sun, and your vision for just a second or two there is pretty much blinded.
Right there. No sun visors.
He doesn't have a visor, but if you look right there, especially right over there, that's a tear-off. And what he's going to do, it's tinted right now, but when we get into the twilight or the nighttime, he'll pull that tear-off off. It'll be a clear shield.
That's Boyer in third. Kyle Busch. The Busch brothers have been at or near the top of the standings for all 9 days here in Charlotte, including the Sprint All-Star race.
Looks like Denny Hamlin, our pole setter in the 11 car. Whatever setup they have in the car is not really good for the conditions right now.
But this is where that patience you talked about is going to have to play a role here.
I hope the crew chief is explaining to him it will come to you.
Hamlin was sidelined with a back injury after a hard crash at California earlier this season. He's only been back for a couple of races, but told me yesterday he feels 100%, and the 600 miles should not be a problem. Jeff Hammond.
Mike, y'all are talking about the track conditions as far as what's in shade, what's still in sunlight. Imagine this, where the sun is still on this racetrack, we've probably got the track temperature of about 120 degrees. Where it's got that shade, it's cooling down. So you're experiencing a lot of change when you run in and out of that sunlight on the shaded part. Cars going through a lot of really weird things, and that's where a lot of screaming comes from these drivers. It's just the difference in the heat on this racetrack on the different ends.
Hammond, did you say the drivers were screaming?
You always did.
You got that right. That voice is way up there right now for some of them.
Kurt Busch in the 78 just took Denny Hamlin out of the top 5, and here comes Mark Martin.
Yeah, Mark Martin making his 57th start here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
And up front in traffic as lapping has begun, Casey Kane comes right to the bumper of Matt Kenseth's Toyota.
I think we're seeing just a little bit of that product of they're getting into some of the slower cars at the back of the field here, and you got to really watch where you go and what you do, because the cars, like I said, they're just not right where you'd like for them to be right now.
22 laps complete. A quick drop to the bottom as Kenseth took the high side, and that is the short way around. Steve Burns.
Yeah, and Matt Kenseth being patient, Mike Joy. He just told Jason Ratcliffe, I'm tight off of turn 2. I got lots of rear grip, front not as much. The longer I run, my entry frees up just a bit. So Matt Kenseth just being patient.
So Denny Hamlin led 6 laps, Matt Kenseth 17, and Casey Kane now 8 laps. Trevor Bayne was climbing fast. He had gained 14 positions, but got a piece of paper covering most of the air inlet on his grill. So in the 1400th start for the Wood brothers, who have won this race 4 times, and Bayne had to come in, get it cleared off, and he is back out 2 laps down.
And you know, Mike, the thing about it is, just think about the Indy 500 today. A.J. Allmendinger running great, leading the race. Seatbelt came undone. Had to make an unexpected stop. tonight, a piece of trash on the grill. It's those unexpected things that you just cannot prepare for.
And we're about 15 to 18 laps from what would be green flag pit stops. What he truly hopes, Trevor Bayne, that it cycles through and he'll get the majority of that back that he's down right now.
Danica Patrick is the biggest mover in this race. She started 42nd. She's gained 9 positions. Matt?
Mike, during much of practice during the 2 weeks here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, Tony Gibson, Danica Patrick's crew chief, they spent a lot of time working that 10 car in traffic as the 5 of Kane goes on the bottom. They knew she was back in dirty air at different portions of the 600-miler, and then when they had to go back to the back due to the engine change, it even came more to them. Right now, Danica says the car is on the tight side from late center to exit, just holding on about 10 to 15 laps away from that first stop.
And Darrell, tight on exit, that just kills the straightaway speed because she's trying to put the throttle down and the front wheels aren't responding.
Yeah, and even if you can't get the throttle all the way down, it's like choking the car down. It's putting all that pressure on the front tires. The car is just plowing. It's killing the corner speed and the horsepower in the engine.
Casey Kane has lapped Danica. Now he goes after Dave Blaney, the former World of Outlaws champ, who ran the outlaw race across the street here the other night. So did Tony Stewart.
All my friends love that camera going into the corner and actually experiencing what the drivers are experiencing.
That's our Fox Sports 1 gyroscopic cam. Reminding you, Fox Sports 1 gives fans a new perspective on sports beginning August 17th. Here are our Toyota top performers, 36 laps into this race, almost 10% of the distance. And Toyota has 5 of the top 7 spots, led by Matt Kenseth and Clint Boyer. Kevin Harvick running in 14th position right now. Hasn't gained a lot of ground, Matt, since the start of this one.
When you talk to Kevin Harvick, Mike, and Gil Martin, they tell you the one constant from their race car in practice, it didn't drop off a lot on the stopwatch, but the concern now isn't that the car is tight on exit. Kevin reported to the team that it feels like the motor is starting to lay down, and if that's the case, we have a long way to go in this 600-miler to have possible motor issues.
Now notice Kevin Harvick, he went ahead and it looks like started with the clear shield and just going to kind of get through the sunlight for this first 200 miles.
Casey Kane, fastest in practice and leading in the daytime. Mark Martin began the march onto pit road for green flag pit stops at lap 42. Now 2 laps later, half the field has been in, and here comes the leader.
Well, I think once those drivers hit pit road, started hitting pit road, you couldn't be far behind because of how much slower you're on older tires. Matt.
And Casey Kane had a lot of conversation back and forth with Kenny Francis about the idea of maybe taking 2 tires. Try that experiment early, 4 later, but they are going to go with 4 and a slight chassis adjustment, Steve.
4 tires for Clint Boyer, Matt. He said his car was getting tight. Matt Kenseth out right behind him.
Jamie McMurray has picked up the lead for Chip Ganassi in one of Ganassi's 500 victories. He then flew to Charlotte to see McMurray finish second. That's the closest any driver or car owner has come to doing the Memorial Day double.
Boy, Mike, getting on pit road in that all those pit stops looked like traffic on I-77 going up toward Lake Norman. It was crazy trying to get on pit road with everybody coming at one time.
So 4 cars have not stopped. McMurray, Keselowski, Stewart, and Rudeman are still out on track.
Yeah, I-77 north, Mike. That's how we go home from Charlotte up toward Mooresville. 2 lanes need about 8.
Krista?
Jamie McMurray in his pit stall. He is one of the few guys who said he started off really tight on that run. His race car then did get loose, but no major adjustments being planned for Jamie McMurray. He was very good here last week in the All-Star race. He said so far they're missing a little something.
And that hands the leader over to the defending series champion, Brad Keselowski, who spent his afternoon up on a Penske pit box in Indianapolis and said, yeah, if the opportunity presented, he'd love to try the Memorial Day weekend double.
Well, he sort of did. He sort of did the double today. He was in Indy, got down here just time to go to the driver's meeting. Here he is picking up the lead for a couple of laps.
Tony Stewart also in at lap 48. Steve?
Mike, Tony Stewart saying my car is starting to get free on entry. And he's also saying the closer I get to a car, the worse my car gets. Matt.
Brad Keselowski was complaining his car was rolling over on exit, but struggling on entry as well. Now they made a chassis adjustment, also shuffled the air pressures on that Blue Deuce, trying to get more grip.
2 penalties on this round of green flag pit stops. There's Casey Mears exiting from his penalty stop. He and David Reagan were too fast entering pit road.
You know, Tony Stewart's an interesting guy. The Indy 500's over with now. I used to think that that was the distraction that kept Tony Stewart from having a good start to a NASCAR season. Indy's over with. Think about Tony Stewart from the middle of the summer on. Remember when he won the chase or won the championship 2 years ago? When did he win all of his races? In the chase, 5 of them. So maybe Indy's over with and Tony can get down to business.
Tony came to NASCAR from the Indy Racing League, where he was champion. So after the round of pit stops, Casey Kane has a 4-second lead. It was 2.5 before pit stops. .56 laps complete. Here's an inside look at what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. 5-time series champ Jimmy Johnson comes in as the point standing leader. Get unlimited access to NASCAR with the NASCAR Mobile 13 app and truly unlimited data from Sprint. No metering, no throttling, no overages on the Sprint network. Go to sprint.com/speed for more. Casey Kane is our leader after pit stops from Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, Clint Boyer, Kurt Busch, and our pole sitter, Denny Hamlin.
Now look at our green flag pit stops. This is the lap leading into the stop and the lap leaving pit road. Look at Denny Hamlin then at 11 right there. He was the quickest, but I think one thing that helped him, he pitted on lap 42 when there were only about 3 or 4 other drivers on pit road. Pit road wasn't near as crowded as when the rest of them were there.
It was crazy, those guys getting on the pit road all at one time.
Denny Hamlin 7th before pit stops and currently 6th. The big loser on that pit exchange seemed to be Jamie McMurray, who came in 7th and came out 12th. And he did pit with a whole group of cars 2 laps later. The 16 of Greg Biffle. All Roush Fenway cars are painted alike this weekend. Biffle's has the yellow number on the roof. Carl Edwards' roof number is white, and Ricky Stenhouse in red.
Montoya actually was forced off of pit road. He was trying to get on the pit road to make his stop there a little bit ago. And Marcus Ambrose in the 9 was in his way, and he had to go around and make an extra lap. So that really put him back into this 20th spot.
Casey Kane out in front by 3.7 seconds. We expected this. In yesterday's 2 practice sessions, Kane was fastest in both. And in the crucial final practice, he had the best 5 consecutive lap average and the best 10 consecutive lap average, all in broad sunlight. No surprise that at this part of the race he would be quickest.
But he would be one of the drivers that I was talking about at the top of the show, giving feedback to his crew chief, Kenny Francis. And even though he's running this good and leading the race, Kenny Francis has to anticipate, I'm going to have to make changes because of the changes this track's going to go through.
Boy, Larry, and when the leader's coming up on you to lap you, there's such an urgency to try to stay on that lead lap. And that's what Casey Kane in the 5 has been doing. He's been good enough on these guys. They've been racing hard, but he's working his way right by them.
That's Kevin Harvick on the inside, 29, with Greg Biffle. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. had passed the pair of them to move up to 13th. Here is Ryan Newman's number 39 Chevrolet. Going a lap down in 24th place as Kane continues to march through the field.
Yeah, that 39 car of Ryan Newman was one that was in a real bind there a few laps ago with some lap cars that he was racing with and almost got in trouble.
Michael McDowell has taken his Phil Parsons Ford to the garage, joining Scott Speed in the Levine family racing Ford. Steve Burns.
And here's an update on Kurt Busch in that 78, Mike. He says that my car is settling in. The track, it's kind of slick. I'm a little bit free on that last stop. They took 4 tires, made very little adjustment, if any.
Yeah, pretty good stop as they came out 5th.
Yeah, and we're starting to see a little bit of cloud cover, and that's definitely taking the sunlight off of turn 2 and turn 3, unlike what we had when this race started.
Larry, Mike, right now we're averaging 178 miles an hour into this race. 178.
Kane underneath Eric Almirola in one of Richard Petty's 2 Fords. Here's our sprint. Day, dusk, night after 200 miles. Air temp 76 degrees. Track temp 105 degrees for the first 200 miles.
And what we mean by this right here, he's just looking for more grip in the front tires and the rear tires.
And just think about it this way. If you get up in the morning, walk out to the mailbox barefooted, your driveway's not very hot. And you can walk out there and get the paper and come on back. You go out there in the afternoon, your driveway's up to 130 degrees, you're going to be going, ow, ooh, ow, ow, ow. You're going to be wanting to get off that drive.
The first caution flag comes 69 laps, 104 miles into the 600. Only 5 cautions last year. We went 112 laps from the green flag, caution free. Debris in turn number 4 puts us under the yellow flag and lines them up behind the Toyota safety car. Eric Almirola is the first car 1 lap down, so he's our Aaron's lucky dog. You don't need credit. All you need is Aaron's, and he'll be allowed to cycle around and get back on the lead lap before pit stops begin.
Yeah, I anticipate all these drivers that they're going to be on pit road getting 4 fresh Goodyear tires and filling up with Sunoco race fuel, because we were not that far from what would be green flag pit stops again.
Great break for these drivers, though. They've been running hard here for 60, 70 laps now. This is time you can debrief a little bit, maybe make your car a whole lot better.
Pit road is open this time around. So if you're pitting, you have to stay to the inside of the orange cone at the entrance of pit road. That's the commitment cone, and there's the commit line. And here they come. Krista.
And it's amazing how much the car and the track change on that run. Kyle Busch saying his car started off a little darty, then got free entry, especially in 3 and 4. Steve?
Well, Krista, his teammate Matt Kenta saying that he was loose on entry at both ends of the racetrack. Let's go to Matt.
No adjustments on the 5 of Casey Kane. He did request that Kenny Francis have the guys look at the splitter up front. He thought it might have been bottoming out too much early in the run. No changes, he's away.
Here's the race off pit road. Kane versus Kyle Busch. It's going to be Casey Kane.
I believe that 18 car, though, made another one of those amazing pit stops.
Denny Hamlin's team picks up 3 positions.
Real loser, Clint Boyer in the 15 and his teammate Mark Martin in the 55.
Casey Kane back in command of the Coca-Cola 600 after 71 laps under caution. Getting ready for the restart. Scott Speed is back on the track. Joe Nemechek made a late pit stop, and Greg Biffle fell from 8th after his green flag stopped at 15th just before the caution flag. We'll keep an eye on him. Casey Kane has chosen the inside lane. It is leader's choice. Kyle Busch will restart on the outside. Then Busch's teammates in those Joe Gibbs Toyotas, Denny Hamlin and Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson in Chevrolets, Clint Boyer's Toyota, Jeff Gordon's Chevy, Mark Martin's Toyota, and Carl Edwards is the first Ford. He'll restart 10th. With several waiver rounds, we have 26 lead lap cars for this restart.
Going to be a little pushing and shoving on this restart.
We've seen that all year long on restarts with this car, especially at this size track.
First time NASCAR's Generation 6 car has tackled the 600 miles at Charlotte. New track record in qualifying. We're back underway under green.
Kyle Busch in that 18 got a pretty good run up top through turn 2 that time.
And for the second time tonight, Mark Martin in the 5 did not. A little further back, there's a log jam. It's a 5-pack for the lead.
But listen, remember these two guys right here? They don't like each other. They've had 3 run-ins already this year. Casey Kane in the 5, Kyle Busch in the 18. I gave Casey some advice. I don't know if he's going to take it or not.
What was that, Darrell?
Stay away from the 18.
Kyle Busch, that 18, he prevailed that time off turn 2. He's going to take the lead down the back straightaway, and here comes his teammate, Kenseth, in the 20.
All kinds of 3 wide back here. Everybody on fresh tires. Everybody fights for position. Busch, Kane, Kenseth, Hamlin, and Kurt Busch. Then Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer, Jeff Gordon, Edwards, and Earnhardt.
Kyle Busch won the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race here a week ago. He won the Nationwide Series race yesterday. One of the few tracks he's never won a Sprint Cup Series race.
We talked about Greg Biffle dropping back. Krista has more.
Yeah, Mike, they're just making tons of changes right now. Greg's saying his race car is so loose, and it's loose everywhere. They made both a track bar adjustment and put some wedge into the race car. Greg just searching for answers right now.
I think that's that kind of thing we were talking about. You're not going to have a very good race car until the sun goes down and the grip picks up. Those issues that Greg Biffle are having are all things that can be resolved when the track cools off.
Yeah, we just saw his teammate a second ago, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to 17. Ricky's still on the lead lap in 22nd, way up the racetrack.
So their goal will be to stay on the lead lap until the track comes to them. They can adjust to take advantage. Jimmy Johnson against Kurt Busch. 2 Chevrolets for 5th place.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson, we're riding with him in the 48 car. He made a bit of a run toward the front when they dropped the green flag, and then it's like he wasn't exactly where he needed to be, but it appears through the pit stops, the 2 stops that his team has made, they definitely are making that car better, and it's starting to really come to him.
First thing you got to have is speed, and that car has speed. The next thing you got to have is the track to come to you, and that will happen. Keep an eye on the old 48.
For the lead, Casey Kane got a big run on the high side of turn number 2. Takes it into turn 3 side by side with Kyle Busch, who'll come out of turn 4 first.
You know, Chris Myers asked me in the pre-race show, did I think that Casey Kane would try to pay back Kyle Busch? Casey Kane's a smarter driver than that. You don't win races, you don't win championships by holding a grudge and carrying over from one week to the next. Casey is certainly not that kind of driver.
While they were going side by side, we talked about Matt Kenseth in the 20 back there, Kyle Busch's teammate. He's pulled right up to the back of Kyle Busch.
Krista?
Talking about the run-ins that Casey Kane and Kyle Busch have had the last few weeks, Casey actually said, will it come back where it could haunt me? He said, I kind of expect it, and it's fine. I just told Casey, quote, just don't make it hurt too bad.
Yeah, I would really think right now all Casey Kane in the 5 and Kyle Busch in the 18 is thinking about is trying to win this Coca-Cola 600.
Why would you take the best car here, the fastest car here, and take a chance on doing something to it, beating in the fenders or something, trying to pay a guy back for something that happened 2 weeks ago?
Matt is doing the best thing he can, pulling away.
Mike, that was a good opportunity for Casey when he made that pass just to see what that 5 car would do on the high side. Right before their stop, he was concerned, telling Kenny Francis he wasn't sure with the way the splitter was bombing out earlier in the run if he would actually be able to run the high side, and that's always his money spot here at Charlotte and different places, running that high line like Pearson and Petty.
You know, Matt, the tire pressures will come up, and that will get the car off the splitter. Right now, Casey Kane is in a league of his own. He has got at least 2, sometimes 3 tenths in the bank over the field.
We knew Casey Kane would be fast in daylight. As we transition to darkness, who will be quick?
You're watching NASCAR on Fox this Memorial Day weekend in time for an AT&T race break. Brought to you by the nation's fastest 4G LTE network, AT&T. Rethink possible. And right now, Casey Kane the fastest. This is 19th Charlotte Sprint Cup race. He's won here 4 times with Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers, and the Joe Gibbs drivers have all each led. That's Kenseth, Hamlin, Kyle Busch this evening. But Casey Kane has been the class of the field, and that Hendrick versus Gibbs has been the story all season long.
Certainly has. Gibbs has won 5 times, Hendrick 3. But what I'm looking at is this guy, Jimmy Johnson. He ran his fastest lap of the race, Chris, on lap 78. Everyone else, fastest lap in the first couple. That car is getting better and better. Jimmy has cracked that top 5. He has to drive through that Gibbs team to get to Casey Kane. But as night sets and these adjustments are continued to be made during pit stops, look for Jimmy Johnson to be right up there fighting with Casey Kane.
Now we still have an hour before darkness falls here and the lights come on. We've had 2 different adjustments, but why has Kane been able to not only adjust but stay out in front?
Well, I like what the guys upstairs said. Yesterday he was fast in the sunlight. He led both practice sessions. But this is also what I like. See the different lines? Denny Hamlin down low, Kyle Busch up high. These drivers are adjusting as well. They're looking for grip. They're feeling around to see how to take care of these race cars while the sun is still out. As things cool off, then the speeds pick up. They have to make adjustments then as well.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. currently running 10th in the National Guard car. Very appropriate on this holiday weekend, and hoping to make his move in a place he's very familiar with having some success.
Yeah, he's won here. He's very fast at this racetrack. He and Carl Edwards both. Those are a couple of guys that are in the top 10 right now. You see Carl in this Fastenal Ford. Inside that top 10, very steady. This is the time of race where you just want to stay in contention, stay in touch with the leaders, tell your team what you need to be better throughout the evening. And I think no one's much better than that than Carl Edwards and Dale Jr. Look for them to surface near the front as well.
Carl Edwards, the only Ford in the top 10. He has twice finished 3rd in the Coca-Cola 600, but has never won this event, currently 2nd in points. And racing fans, if you think you know something about speed, buckle your seatbelt and play AT&T's Fastest Driver Challenge. Simply call **FAST from your mobile phone. Predict who will have the fastest time. It's all brought to you by the nation's fastest 4G LTE network, AT&T. Rethink possible. Kane in front of Kenseth, and more to come.
101 laps complete in the Coca-Cola 600. Casey Kane, there's your leader from the Sprint Unlimited camp with an unlimited view of race day. Get unlimited data when you join the NASCAR family at sprint.com/speed. 102 laps complete. That's 153 miles out of the 600 will run tonight.
You know, this track is unique. I know it's a 1.5 miles, but it's the original kind of tri-oval, if you will, 1.5 miles. It's kind of funny how this place plays out. Look, you got a couple of straightaway. You got a straightaway there. You got a straightaway there. You kind of got a straightaway right here going through the front. But what is really cool, Dale Jr., we got a report that his car is tight on landing. Now, I'm sure you're home saying, well, I didn't know he ever took off. But what he's talking about is when you go down into turn 1, you come in here and you want the car to dive right to the bottom right there. That's where he's talking about the car being tight on landing. When that car sets down in the racetrack, if it's too tight, the front tires take off. And you cannot get back on the gas. And so when he tells his team that's what it's doing, they have a couple of options here of what they may be able to do. Here he comes. He's coming down the front. We're at the start-finish line, right? Here's the start-finish line. You swing out all the way next to the wall here, and now you're going to dive down in this corner. This is what he's talking about right there. When he wants to pick up the throttle, the front end won't stink and it won't turn, and that's what a driver calls it's tight on landing. When it won't turn, when it comes over that bump going into 1 and sets down in the racetrack.
194 miles an hour into the corner there.
Makes a lot of things tight.
Larry, he's in 10th place, and his lap times are about 1 to 3/10 slower than race leader Casey Kane. Is that yet cause for concern?
I don't think so, Mike. And the other thing we have coming here within the next 8 to 10 laps is another set of green flag pit stops. I think we'll see the same thing that we saw a while ago. Once some of the lead lap drivers start hitting pit road, the rest of them can't be far behind because of the differential between fresh tires and older tires.
All 4 Hendrick Chevrolets and all 3 Gibbs Toyotas in the top 10. They've been the 2 dominant teams this season. Pit stops on the way, but how about Fox Sports Sunday night? Rank it up from Fox Sports 1. from Kenseth, and Kyle Busch in Toyota's Kurt Busch fourth, and another Chevrolet. There's Kenseth in third, or rather in second. Winningest driver on the circuit this year, his first year with Joe Gibbs Racing after spending his entire Sprint Cup career with Roush Fenway Racing. Kyle Busch in third and Kurt Busch in fourth. Now, Kurt Busch had a stellar run in the All-Star race. Looking back for Jeff Gordon, picking him up here in 8th place.
Yeah, I've been watching Jeff Gordon. Started back in the 14th spot in his 24 car. And I think they just keep chipping away in his race car with changes. And, of course, this is where he got his first career win of those 87 career wins back in May of 1994. Matt, what is Jeff saying about his 24 car?
Larry Mack, from the drop of the green, Jeff Gordon's biggest complaint that he's struggling with the balance because he feels like the car is bottoming on the left front corner of the splitter, and that's upsetting the balance. They've made a number of changes. He feels like if they can just get the car to land in the cut, he would be so much better. But they're going to make some more adjustments, possibly to the left front packer, the shock, to help on the next stop.
Yeah, that when I was talking about Dale Jr.'s car landing and taking off up the track, they had the option under a caution. They couldn't do it on the green. They could raise the front of that car 100 thousandths and fix it.
Just limit the travel with the shocks. That's what that Packer would do that Matt was talking about.
Jamie McMurray on the move, 10th place. And Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Remember on our last set of green flag pit stops back around lap 45 or 46, Jamie McMurray in one was one of the last drivers to come to pit road, actually led a lap or two there.
And Larry, one other thing about the cars bottoming out now, if they're bottoming out now, you might want to work on it the very first chance you get, because we know the speeds are going to increase. It'll bottom out even more.
It'll travel more.
Travel more because of higher corner speeds.
Caution is out. Casey Mears slow out of turn number 4. And he pancaked that car against the outside wall.
Okay, come to pit road, please. Come all the way down.
He had just made a green flag pit stop a few laps ago. He was one of the drivers that took that wave around on that last caution.
Caution working lap 112. Both cautions tonight, turn 4.
Larry, right now, fix my car now, guys. Whatever we got to do to it, do it now. This is a perfect opportunity.
I think even Casey Kane in the 5 and Kenny Francis will still be making adjustments even on that 5 car.
Brian Newman will get the free pass. There are your leaders, Kane. And here is Mears making his way to pit road with heavy right side damage on that Ford. Let's have a look at it. There he is against the wall. And the taillight panel comes off that one. I'm going to be watching Kurt Busch on this pit stop. In the All-Star race, Busch was very fast, but on the final stop, he came in and went out deeper in the field. He had a good pit crew. They had a good stop. They just didn't have a great stop. Well, tonight, through 2 pit stops, this single car team from Denver, Colorado has been performing, and they've kept Kurt Busch in the top 5 throughout the first 114 laps of this race. Pit road's open, Krista.
Mike, Kyle Busch is keeping an eye on what Casey Kane is doing. He's saying Casey is set up more free, but Kyle doesn't want to be that free. However, he has to do something because he's just too tight right now. They make an adjustment. Steve Burns?
Krista, Matt Kenseth said he started loose on that last run, but then quickly went tight. They'll adjust him. Kurt Busch says, I'm too loose on exit. We got to keep up with the track. Matt.
Clean air has been Casey Kane's best friend during much of the race. The car, though, is going to the tight side. Another temperature change. They made a chassis adjustment.
Close call at Casey Kane's pit, and coming out, it'll be 2 Toyotas, the Gibbs cars. Kyle Busch ahead of Matt Kenseth.
Boy, they were jockeying with each other, too. Kyle Busch at 18, Matt Kenseth at 20. They were playing games going down pit road.
Not a great stop.
You said it, Mike, right there about Kurt Busch's 78 team.
Kyle Busch out in front of the field after 115 laps. We're under yellow. 117 laps complete. We're under caution in Charlotte. Here's tonight's Ford F-150 EcoBoost track facts. Last year's Coke 600 was the fastest ever. Average speed over 155 miles an hour. Last Ford driver in victory lane in the 600, Mark Martin. 11 years to go, his only 600 win. Now, we said there were no sun visors in these cars. That's not entirely true. Ricky Stenhouse, under caution, has loosened up his shoulder harnesses so he could pull this tape off the top of the windshield, his makeshift sun visor.
Notice he's got that clear shield, so he had to have that sun visor.
Doing a good job here. Got a long ways to go. 284 laps.
So he'll tighten up the belts and get ready to go. Now, Lincoln Boyer.
Well, you know why? Boyer's he's a dirt track racer. They run those tear-offs all the time on dirt tracks, so that's his kind of G2.
So his dark tinted tear-off comes off for the clear shield underneath. Jeff Burton still getting some respite from the sun that is on turn 2, 3 on the backstretch, as is Danica Patrick.
Well, we're coming to lap 119, and about lap 133 or 134, that will end our first segment of the first 200 miles. And then that's when we get into that second segment, which you can almost see the track is in that condition now.
6 drivers took the wave around, so we will restart with 24 lead lap cars. None of those 6 got back on the lead lap. They each got a lap back. But Ryan Newman, the free pass car, will be the last lead lap car when we restart.
Look at the pit stop comparison between Kyle Busch and the 18, Casey Kane in the 5. You can see the crew difference right there, getting close to 2 seconds. And I think you're going to see it here on Casey Kane's 5 on the jack here. Couldn't get the jack down right there. And of course, the guys on the left side are waiting on him. They really can't do a whole lot until he gets there.
And the front tire carrier got clipped by Juan Montoya's car as Montoya angled into his pit. He didn't lose his balance, but he might have lost half a step there.
A lot of action on pit road.
Toyota pace car is in as Kyle Busch elects the outside against his teammate Matt Kenseth in the orange number 20. Green flag.
Denny Hamlin all up into the back of Matt Kenseth trying to get him to go. You saw the hood flap there, or the cowl flap on the 11 car popping open because he was so tucked in so tight.
Boy, one driver making some hay on the top side. Carl Edwards in that 99, and here's Casey Kane in the 5 trying to get back to the front.
Edwards drops to the bottom. Behind the 11, Jimmy Johnson and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that camouflage number 88, bouncing around looking for some racing room, with Kurt Busch right behind him in the 78.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is just sneaking up on him there. They can't see him.
Well, you know what, though? That 78 car, you mentioned his pit stop. If Kurt can keep his cool and not let these problems into pits, he's going to have a great night.
Greg Biffle, 16, kind of dropping through the field. They were 3 wide and had him surrounded.
Yeah, that 16 car of Biffle has been nowhere near right. He can hardly drive it.
Krista?
Jimmy Johnson right now complaining that he needed to go back and caution out debris. It's actually right in front of Kyle Busch's pit stall.
Coming out of turn 4, you can see it on the track near the entrance of pit road. All 3 cautions tonight have been for something in turn number 4. Debris on the racetrack, 3rd caution, lap 121.
We've only run 2 or 3 laps, and we actually have 24 drivers on the lead lap. I don't think any of our drivers at the front, but I think those guys way back there, I think they'll be back on pit road, more tires and more adjustments on their cars.
I believe the beneficiary of this caution is going to be Danica Patrick. Oh, that's the debris? No, there's other stuff out there. Bit of cabling up there as well as a few items that might have come out of the grandstand. There's that cable you see in the shot. Whoa. And that was definitely in the way of oncoming traffic. So we're under yellow for the 3rd time. Kyle Busch leading Casey Kane, Matt Kenseth, Denny Hamlin, and Carl Edwards. Danica Patrick is confirmed as the free pass car, and we'll get back on the lead lap. We'll take a break from the Coca-Cola 600 on Fox.
We welcome you back live, the Coca-Cola 600, where the engines have been refired. And there's Marcus Ambrose in the 9 car.
He's making up his laps. He went down. The NASCAR said they would freeze the field at the moment of caution. He lost a couple of laps while the caution was out. Now he's making those up to get his spot back.
When the caution came out, we talked about Kyle Busch, who has led 18 laps and running over the cable. We certainly apologize for that camera fiber causing a problem, but they went to work right away.
Well, I knew those guys would get that thing prepared. All the teams bring fabricators, Chris. They come in case there's some sort of damage they have to go behind the wall and fix. You throw them a project like this, and they get happy about it. They say, we'll fix this darn car.
The crew is up to anything and excited about their work so far, and they have a long night and a great job early because we're nearing the 200-mile mark, and normally, Michael, you get about 300 miles of this 600-mile race under the lights. Now it's going to be 400 plus, and that causes further adjustments.
Yeah, and these teams are up on that, though. They understand what they've got to do to get these cars right for the end of the race. What I love about Kyle Busch, you know, if you hit a snake with a stick, you're going to make it mad. They might have made him mad. He could run off with this thing now.
And Kyle hoping for his first win here in Charlotte. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin, who said the Darlington, or I should say Darlington race was a greater test than this 600-mile in terms of his back and his return to going the distance. Let's check in with him, and standing by is Matt Yoakum.
Chris, underneath that red flag now, Spider Gill and the car chief and crew chief Darian Grubb, they spent a considerable amount of time on the right side of the car. Evidently, they received cosmetic damage to the right roof rail and also the right side roof flap. Now, they spent some time bending that back into place, both of those pieces, to try to get it back to its original contour. They did that, and they are good to go.
Talked about Denny Hamlin there. He's been doing a lot of rehab with this back injury, and I know one thing for sure, Chris, he's in great shape, maybe the best shape he's been in lately, and his golf ball will go much further when he hits it now.
And he's had the last two Charlotte races, he's finished second. Denny Hamlin has yet to win here. There's Marcus Ambrose. We talked about the 9 car getting his position back, and NASCAR assessing when the first caution came out before the red flag, freezing the field, setting the order.
He ran a few laps there. He came in to top it off with gas, so he's right on schedule with everything else. Like the guys up in the booth, that's a great job by NASCAR. We've never seen anything like this before. They allowed those teams to reset from before when that fiber rope fell, and now things are ready to race into the darkness.
And we do again at Fox Sports apologize for causing this delay to the drivers, to the fans here in attendance, to those watching. Certainly an accident because of a rope connecting a camera, causing this delay, causing some damage. Lee Spencer at FoxSports.com had reported that NASCAR race director David Hoots said to the crews during this delay it has to be relative damage, use your heads, and that relates to what you pointed out earlier about some other damage maybe being worked on the body of the car.
Yeah, everybody, if you can fix it under a regular caution, NASCAR is going to allow you to do it. Jimmy Johnson had some damage on his right rear. They were working on the right rear. That's something you can do under a regular caution. They just had a little bit longer time to accomplish that, but if they come in now, they will lose positions. We're back to yellow. Everything's normal. You pit right now, you don't get your spot back. But if they stay out, you're all set.
Assuming repairs are made, we'll see who benefited the most and how it affects the rest of the way. Casey Kane has led the most laps in tonight's race. Let's go back upstairs. Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy. And Mike, NASCAR's longest night got a little bit longer, but hopefully it'll be exciting.
Yeah, I'm afraid it did. I applaud NASCAR for the action that they've taken under a very unforeseen circumstance. The closest I can remember to this happened at Rockingham, North Carolina, on the 1 mile oval some years ago. Dale Earnhardt had made a pit stop, came back on track, and the official in their pit said he was missing a lug nut. Richard Childress convinced NASCAR to throw the caution, revisit the issue, and it was determined that all 5 lug nuts were in place and Earnhardt was given his spot back. That at the time, very unprecedented, but hats off to NASCAR because they react quickly and fairly to unforeseen circumstances such as this one.
Yeah, I mean, we always sort of anticipate in the unexpected, but man, I didn't expect this.
What this has really done, it has changed our segments because we're now well into dusk, twilight. We kind of lost that one little area there where we were going to really start losing sunlight. So this obviously also changes a little bit of the game plan of adjustments in these next 2 or 3 pit stops because we're not that far away from what will be darkness.
Right, sunset 8:28 p.m., about 8 minutes from now. Total time of the red flag, 27 minutes. So the transition time begins. As Danica Patrick comes around, she is the free pass car on this, the third caution flag and 1 red flag in this Coca-Cola 600 so far. The average length of a Sprint Cup race this year has been a little over 3 hours. I believe about 3 hours and 15 minutes. Tonight's race, never mind the red flag, is going to go 4 hours and 30 minutes. So by any measure, time or mileage, it's NASCAR's longest night.
Yeah, for the drivers, I think that we're banking on getting to that third segment in darkness, the final 200 miles. They maybe like what's happened here.
Sort of reminds me of the Super Bowl. Remember what happened there? The lights went out. So, I mean, these things, I just saw Coach Gibbs. He's probably seen the field come up before. So a lot of things can happen.
So, Larry, let's, with our sprint breaking down the race, let's talk about twilight and dusk.
Well, again, we're getting into where the track has no sunlight. And the drivers definitely, they're going to have to be able to start getting more aggressive here because the track is going to pick up grip. And that means it's going to handle better, and they're going to be able to run faster speeds. You still got to make adjustments, but this is where they definitely can start to feel like that car's driving better.
Only 4 drivers in the top 20 have run their fastest lap of the race after lap 40. Jimmy Johnson, as Michael pointed out earlier, Joey Logano, Ricky Stenhouse, and Tony Stewart. Everyone else's fastest lap was the very beginning of the race. I have a feeling that's about to change. Casey Kane's on the inside. Kyle Busch has elected the outside for this restart. Matt Kenseth, Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Earnhardt, Johnson, Boyer, and McMurray will bring them down to the green flag to begin lap 131. We're back under green.
Casey Kane in that 5 did not get a good restart at all. In fact, Matt Kenseth in the 20 was bumping him down the front straightaway.
Yeah, Casey spun the tires here when he took off, and it really it slowed him down, and Matt Kenseth was all over the back of him.
And here comes Kurt, the older Busch brother with that black Chevrolet. Had a great run off the high side of turn 2, and he is going for second and gets it in turn 3.
That 78 of Kurt Busch has been fast over here in the All-Star race, qualified well. That car's really had some speed in it.
Boy, they are 3 wide, kicking up dirt and everything else down this front straightaway. The nature of these restarts.
And again, it's Mark Martin, man in the middle, backing up. He is not getting good starts and restarts tonight. While up at the front, Denny Hamlin clears for third place. That's Casey Kane looking back from Hamlin in fourth. Matt Kenseth right behind him. Then Johnson and Edwards.
Larry, the restarts kind of remind me of what some of the drivers said after the All-Star race. They got their cars so beat up, the bodies of them on the restarts, that they really hurt the aero package.
9th place race. Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the outside of Jamie McMurray.
Boy, you look at Kyle Busch in the 18, his brother Kurt Busch in the 78. You think back to a week ago in the Sprint All-Star race, how they dominated that race until those final 10 laps when Jimmy Johnson won the race.
McMurray quicker to the throttle off turn 4. He takes it, grabs that spot from Earnhardt. Now it's Boyer and Logano looking in.
Okay, another guy that's really improved his car since that red flag is the 11 car, Denny Hamlin. He was falling back a little bit before that last red flag, but he seems to have made his car a lot better.
Up front, it's Toyota, Chevy, Toyota, Chevy, Toyota, Chevy, Ford. Kenseth and Johnson, that third pair. 5th and 6th. Then Carl Edwards, the first Ford in the field, in 7th.
Yeah, you look at the lap times right now, it looks to me like about 11 or 12 of the top 15 drivers, they now just ran their fastest lap of this race. Absolutely, this track is gaining grip and gaining speed.
Yeah, the fastest lap of the night was by Hamlin just a bit ago at a 28.40.
Ryan Newman, Eric Almirola, they were a lap down earlier. They both got back on the lead lap with the free pass. And now they battle for 21st. Keselowski right with them in the 2.
You know, I really think what happened, these drivers are probably pretty happy because they didn't have to go through that aggravation of going from daylight to dark to the track changing. They were able to come back out here and start really with everybody on equal ground.
All the top 10, with the exception of Matt Kenseth, have just turned their quickest lap of this race between this restart and right now. And out front, it's the Busch brothers. Mercurial, polarizing, hot-tempered, you name it. Yesterday, Kyle Busch led all but 14 laps. He just wore out the field. in that nationwide race.
You left one out.
What's that?
The ultimate desire to win for both of them.
Well, I like that 78 bunch. Todd Barrier, the crew chief on the 78 for Kurt Busch. Barney Visser, the owner, out in Denver, Colorado. They're kind of the lone wolf. That sort of fits the guy that drives the car. They call him the outlaw.
Kurt Busch is the only driver of a single car team in the top 25 in this race right now. That says volumes about that group from Denver, Colorado. Oh, Martin Truex getting a little close with Pablo Montoya. That allows Paul Menard to close in.
And this is a battle for 15th between these three drivers.
Truex with good drive off the outside of the corner. And that's usually where Montoya likes to run, is up on the high side. But Montoya is a bottom feeder through 3 and 4 and takes back the spot.
This track is really, I guess it's the car, the tires, the combination, or whatever. But the bottom has really been quite good here for the last 2 weekends. It seems like the cars really work well around the bottom. You only go to the top when the car goes to handling poorly.
I think Kurt Busch in the 78 season, Kyle Busch's brother in the 18 running the bottom, so he has started moving his car around a little bit up to the top side.
Next Sunday, the Monster Mile, Dover, Delaware. NASCAR on Fox has Casey Kane. Takes third from Denny Hamlin. And for 12th place, Jeff Gordon, who got his first career win right here in 1993. His number 24 Chevrolet with Joey Logano in the number 22 Penske Ford.
But Joey Logano in the 22 has been making some nice gains. Started all the way back in 29th position. Car bottomed out qualifying. Been steadily working his way to the front.
Yeah, he finished second over here in the All-Star race, and I've been impressed with this group. They have made steady improvements since the beginning of the year. I think Joey right now is really coming into his own. He's happy with his car. He's happy with his team. I like what he's doing.
141 of 400 laps complete in the Coca-Cola 600 on NASCAR's longest night. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. The Busch brothers have been the class of the field. Now, you saw Kurt Busch fall back on that round of pit stops when he went, I believe, from 5th to 10th. He has made those spots back up to challenge his younger brother. And the two who cut their teeth racing dwarf cars out at the Bull Ring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, their hometown, are in command.
Kyle in the 18, he continues to hug that white line. Kurt in the 78 keeps moving it up the racetrack as we get into this run here.
Yeah, I think, Larry, as the tires wear, the fuel burns off, a lot of times you can find a little more grip, find a little more speed if you do move up the hill a little bit. But as long as you got good tires and you run that bottom, that's the way to go.
With Casey Kane in third, the 4th place driver is Matt Kenseth in the number 20, Steve.
Interesting feedback from Matt Kenseth, Mike. He's saying the front of the car is just too numb. He said, I just can't get through the center. I can't get it to turn.
What that means is it doesn't have any feel in it. We heard Dale Jr. talking about his was bottoming out and sliding up the track. Sounds like Kenseth's front end is just not working at all. So when he turns the wheel, he doesn't have much feel in there. It feels kind of numb to him.
Larry, is that something that will get better as we transition into night, or are they going to have to make changes?
Well, the front tires will definitely gain grip, but they're going to have to make changes because they don't want to get the car out of balance. You can't have one end gripping a whole lot more than the other.
They got to come up with an adjustment that will wake that front end up, and that could be a number of ththings. They can do a little air pressure, or they can do a little wedge, or there's a number of things they can do to wake it up.
Well, if that front end's on Novocaine, Kenseth is flying. His lap times are 0.2 faster than the race leader right now. Krista.
Greg Biffle started this race 7th. He has just been dropping back continuously. They made a slew of adjustments back on lap 71. But Greg right now thinks there's a problem with the right rear shock, and it's going to keep him back in the pack right now.
Yeah, Krista, he's actually had his hands full since the drop of the green flag, and right now he's next to the last driver on the lead lap, Danica Patrick, in 25th behind him in her 10. he keeps going green, he'll get lapped the way this thing's driving for him.
Yeah, I've been watching him, Larry, and the car is really evil. I mean, that's a wicked car to drive right now. It's wobbling off into the corner like it has no idea where it wants to go.
Fastest cars on track right now, Casey Kane and Jimmy Johnson as of this lap. But since the restart, around lap 131, the lap times have fallen off 1.3 seconds as the tires wear.
Well, one thing about it, when you have a pace that these cars have, and you run as fast as these cars will run, you're going to be a little harder on the tires. The tires aren't going to last quite as long because of the pace of the race. But just one quick thing about Matt Kenseth. Remember Darlington, he had a little piece of aluminum dragging on the right side of the car, and he was complaining that he felt something. Remember yesterday in practice, he said, I got smoke in the car. It was a little bit of rubber on the headers. Matt Kenseth is one of the most sensitive, kind of aware of things going on around him of anybody I know.
Good point. Here's Ricky Stenhouse, Tony Stewart battling for 17th position. Martin Truex just ahead in 18th. Two-time champion versus the rookie. And Casey Kane has his hands full of Matt Kenseth, and Kenseth's going to go inside and by to take over third place.
Yeah, if they wake up the front end on Matt Kenseth's car, the field's in trouble because he just keeps picking them up and laying them down just like he did Casey Kane there in the 5.
But think about Casey Kane in the 5. He was in the zip code all his own earlier in the day.
In the daylight.
In the daylight.
And we knew he would be in the sunlight. Now it's up to Kenny Francis and that 5 team to make the right adjustments to get the speed back in that car for this long run into night.
See, Kenny Francis is crew chief. They've been together for a number of years, actually through 3 different race teams.
And look at Kenny. Doesn't look too worried, does he?
Just giving Casey Kane his lap times, and how many laps we got to go, which is a lot.
242 laps to go with the Busch brothers in command at Charlotte. 164 laps complete. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, proudly supporting our military for 100 years. Goodyear, official tire of NASCAR. And Goodyear is giving back to our military heroes and their families. See those tires with support our troops? You can bid in the NASCAR-themed charity auction and have one of your very own. And also find other ways to help. Visit Goodyear.com to participate. Please.
Boy, I tell you, Matt, I think the handle's gone off on this 78 car. He started getting real high, and now Matt Kenseth in the 20 has made the pass. Looks like the handle, but we're getting pretty close to a green flag pit stop here, Larry.
Yes, we are.
234 laps to go, and we have a statement from Charlotte Motor Speedway that when that rope cable came down onto the track, was hit by several cars. There were also several injuries in the grandstand area. 10 fans received injuries. 7 were treated and released here at the Speedway. 3 fans were transported to a local hospital for observation. .233 laps to go in Stock Car Racing's longest night, the Coca-Cola 600. Kyle Busch now leading his Joe Gibbs Toyota teammate Matt Kenseth by 1 second. Kurt Busch now third, 1.5 back. Casey Kane 1.9 off the lead. There they are. Denny Hamlin 3.3 back. How about Hamlin, Matt?
Mike, from the drop of the green, our pole sitter Denny Hamlin was battling a tight race car. Then when the racetrack got into the dusk and darkness condition, now it's swung to the complete opposite. Now the car is extremely loose. He can't be aggressive with it at all. They're talking about what significant changes to make to their upcoming pit stop.
That upcoming pit stop, it's going to be within, I think, about the next 5 or 6 laps. We're right there on that window again.
Regan Smith has stopped a little bit, maybe a little bit early, out of sequence. And Kurt Busch continues to impress as he runs ahead of Casey Kane, Steve.
Yeah, they've had a great night, Mike. Kurt just told his team, we need more rear grip on my race car.
And evidently, when Kurt goes to put the throttle down, the back end's wanting to come out from under him. He's needing those rear tires to grip the racetrack better.
See, I think this is where we heard Matt Kenseth talk about the front of his car. As the fuel burns off, he's going to pick up a little nose weight. that means his car is probably going to be pretty snug. It's going to be tight. These other guys sound like they're complaining about their front end maybe too positive, and the back of the car is getting real loose. So this setup that Matt Kenseth has could really be working in his favor.
Well, they were last on pit road a little more than 40 laps ago. That includes a few laps of caution, but it won't be long before this next round of green flag stops.
Comes Trevor Bayne in the 21 car on pit road, but I'm definitely seeing Matt Kenseth as we're closing in on these stops. He keeps gaining little by little on his teammate Kyle Busch.
A lot of these guys, Larry, they like quick steering boxes, and they like front ends that the car turns real quickly. Matt Kenseth's not one of them.
Wood brothers complete their stop. Oh, Casey Kane and Kurt Busch for third place. And behind that, watch Jimmy Johnson as he battles J.J. Yaley.
Whoa now.
I believe he's looking for some rear grip.
How much longer? That's what he's asking. How much longer before we pit? I believe here comes Hamlin on pit road.
You saw Jimmy Johnson flash past the 11 as Denny Hamlin gets down to pit road speed. And that should signal just about everybody within the next 2 laps to hit the pit road.
Well, yeah, Mike, you talked about the give up from fresh tires to old tires. You can't sit out there and just keep running.
Matt?
And Denny Hamlin pulls to a stop now. His team was talking about making air pressure change. You can just see some of that brake dust come out. The wrenches in the back window. You can see the lights on the helmets for better visibility, for the hand-eye coordination for the changers. Meanwhile, the 56 of Martin Truex Jr., they came back with a different setup. Air pressure change to try to free him up. Krista?
Well, earlier in the race, Jimmy Johnson wanted his car back to the original race setup. As you just saw, though, the condition of his race car right now is extremely loose. Steve?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88. Jeff Hammond said they've made adjustments to that car. Matt Kenseth headed down pit road in front of him now. Now Matt Kenseth saying that his car is just a little bit tight in the center. The other issue he has is that the splitter, he's been hitting the splitter just a little bit too much. He said he needs more clearance on those front tires. Meanwhile, Kurt Busch says that the front is sliding too much from our last change. We need to go back. We need to undo what we did on the last stop.
Lots of drivers completing service. Here comes the leader, Kyle Busch. Krista.
And Mike, this crew may be more fired up than ever after what they completed, all of that damage on the right front. Right now, Kyle's saying his car has gotten just a little bit tight throughout this run. Matt?
And Casey Kane, who dominated much of the early portion of the race, he comes to a stop now. They were talking about making a chassis adjustment and air pressure change. You can see the track bar adjustment completed. Let's go further up pit road to Krista.
Right now, Carl Edwards also contending in this race. He said a few laps ago his car has gotten tight in the center of 1 and 2, but loose into turn 3.
So your leaders who have yet to pit are Brad Keselowski in the Blue Deuce and Danica Patrick. They were both on pit road at lap 126, 127. And here comes Keselowski. He surrenders the lead after picking up a bonus point for leading the 600.
Guess who's leading the race, guys?
Danica Patrick in that green number 10.
Number 10 car's taking the lead.
Next time, dude. Next time.
Matt?
Brad Keselowski's biggest issue much of this race is he could not run the top. In fact, he characterized his race car as being more like a station wagon. It was just rolling over on the right front on exit. They've made significant changes every stop. Track bar adjustment this stop, trying to free him up even more.
Patrick will pit this time by and surrender the lead. And that will cycle us back to Matt Kenseth in front of Kyle Busch. Kyle had a half-second lead over Kenseth when this round of green flag pit stops began.
But remember, Matt Kenseth pitted a lap earlier than Kyle Busch. He got advantage of those fresh tires, and 1 lap is a lot.
But let me tell you where else he got a big advantage. Coming on pit road. He brought that thing to the end of pit road down there, had him smoking when he got there. Watch this. This is hustle right here. Lock her down, get down to 55 miles an hour. Perfect.
Now, you don't have to be doing pit road speed at the commit line, but before the end of that first segment, you have to get to an average of pit road speed. So nice work by Matt Kenseth and his crew to get him out first.
I've been watching Matt all night, and I've seen him a number of times really use the lines on pit road to his advantage.
Yeah, pit road speed is measured in time over distance.
Trevor Bayne for the Wood Brothers in the 21. They've won this race 4 times. They make their 1400th start in what's now the Sprint Cup Series tonight. That's over a period of 63 seasons, beginning with Glenn Wood, the old wood chopper number 21, the team patriarch and Hall of Famer.
Mike, let's take a look at these green flag pit times. Remember, this is a lap coming in and the lap going out, including the pit stop. You see right there, and I think to Darrell's point, so much of that was coming on to pit road. You can see all 3 of the Joe Gibbs drivers, though, 1, 2, 3, but Kyle Busch back there, 3rd quickest on his 2 laps.
Not very seldom do you beat Kyle Busch on the pit road. So that's how fired up that 20 bunch is, and Matt Kenseth. He is on his game.
Closing in on halfway. Coca-Cola giving fans the chance to win a trip to next year's Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte and a new Toyota Camry. Your VIP trip includes airfare, hotel, and race tickets, plus $10,000. Visit mycokerewards.com/NASCAR for complete details. Flat left rear for rookie Ricky Stenhouse, and he's made an unscheduled pit stop back on track. Here's your leader, Matt Kenseth. He has yarded Kyle Busch, his teammate now, by 3.2 seconds. Casey Kane has moved to 3rd, breaking up the Joe Gibbs Toyota trifecta. Kane to 3rd at 4.3 seconds behind the leader, then Hamlin and Kurt Busch.
Yeah, I mean, they made up a lot of ground, DW, on that pit stop getting on pit road, but he is definitely maintained. In fact, he's about a 10th quicker than his teammate Kyle Busch in that 18.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Larry. The lap times of the 20 car of Kenseth is a little bit better than everybody else right now. They made the right adjustments, and that numb front end, I believe she woke up.
Meanwhile, Clint Boyer is in 11th place. He's 13 seconds off the lead. We spoke to him on the pace laps. Steve Burns in his pit.
And Mike, I think they're struggling with this track going through a change. Clint just said we may have something wrong with the right rear. As crew chief Brian Patty said, no, it's from the front that is not turning. It's the front. Work on the front of your car. Clint's response was, my car is plowing.
Just look at him.
4th place, Kurt Busch coming back toward the front. Inside of Denny Hamlin, side by side. And can't clear him off the corner from the low side. Kurt gets a good run down the back and shoves it into turn 3 hard on the inside. He's got the spot. Jeff Gordon on the inside of Kevin Harvick as they battle for 9th. And Gordon takes the position. Larry, we're starting to see comers and goers at this time of night.
Well, and now we are just a little bit from being in the complete darkness. I mean, the track's still going to get faster, still going to gain grip, but now it's going to be more consistent as it changes over the course of the night. You're not going to be fighting one thing at one end and one at the other.
When we come back, our sprint mid-race report. We're almost to halfway in the Coca-Cola 600 on Fox.
Matt Kenseth, NASCAR's only 3-time winner this season, your leader at the halfway point. Time for the AT&T Mid-Race Report. I'm Chris Myers. Glad you're watching with us on this Memorial Day weekend. Casey Kane and Kyle Busch have dominated the first 300 miles. Kane has won this event 3 times. Kyle Busch aiming for his first win in the 600. Darrell Waltrip, who are you keeping an eye on?
You know what? If it wasn't for a blown engine at Daytona, a wreck at Bristol, Matt Kenseth would have 5 wins. I think he's the hottest driver on the circuit, and certainly tonight he's the hottest driver. What do you think, Michael?
Carl Edwards has been strong tonight, guys, and his car just keeps getting better and better. He's won 10 times on mile-and-a-half tracks, including the All-Star race here in 2011. I like the way this car is running. I like Carl Edwards to be tough in the second half.
Michael, before the race, Steve Burns talked about Kurt Busch coming in here with a 54-race winning streak. He's been up there in the top 5 almost all night long. I'm not convinced that, Krista, that he cannot get the victory lane here tonight. I think he can do it.
Well, the problem is, Chad Canal said this is the kind of race where the 40-18 shines. When others get tired, they come to life. Jimmy Johnson a few laps ago was saying he was so loose, he was almost wrecking. Now he's being very specific about how his car is getting better. Mike Joy?
Kyle Busch has led 65 laps already tonight. He's never won the 600. He's finished third 3 times. But after the way he wore everybody out in yesterday's preliminary race, why couldn't he go to victory lane, Chris?
Worth keeping an eye on, and Charlotte Motor Speedway confirming, Mike, the fiber rope from our overhead Fox camera causing injury to 10 fans here. 7 treated and released from the track. 3 have been taken to an area hospital for further evaluation. It also caused a delay of nearly 40 minutes on the track, bringing out the red flag just before the 200-mile mark. There was an adjustment made by numerous drivers, and certainly our apologies to the fans, to the drivers, those affected all the way around. But Kenseth leading Kyle Busch, Kasey Kahne, Kurt Busch, and Denny Hamlin, and this has been your AT&T Mid-Race Report.
6 leaders, 11 lead changes through 210 of 400 laps. And you're watching the fight for second place. Kyle Busch's Toyota, and Kasey Kahne has a run on the outside, and here he goes. We listened in 2 laps ago to Kyle Busch.
I feel like I got basketball tires. It's really like bouncing.
Well, what he means is he's abusing the front tires. And when you do that, he's such an aggressive driver. You abuse those front tires. You keep leaning on them, pushing on them. The pressure and the air pressure builds up. You have no grip, and then they become very, very much like a basketball with too much air pressure.
Kurt Busch trying to close, and he's got Carl Edwards. Excuse me, that's Greg Biffle, who's a lap down. All 3 identically painted cars, but for the roof numbers. So here comes Kurt in 4th place. Then Hamlin's Toyota, Johnson Chevrolet, then Edwards Ford. Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, Jamie McMurray are the top 10. So here's Hamlin. Currently 5th, started from the pole with a record speed of 195 miles an hour.
He just kind of keeps going in and outside the top 5, it seems like. They keep gaining on it, but they haven't made that adjustment that's really making a difference.
Jimmy Johnson in 6th place, 9 seconds off the lead.
I've been a little surprised that they haven't been able to get Jimmy Johnson up nearer the front. He's not in bad shape, but they got work to do.
Carl Edwards is 11 seconds back. He's the first Ford in the race in his number 99. Remember a few years ago at Martinsville, we had an issue where the track came up, damaged Jeff Gordon's radiator. The race had to be stopped. However, on that occasion, even though it had nothing to do with the race, the damage to Gordon's car, NASCAR would not allow them to repair during the red flag or until they got back under caution and cars got running again. Yeah, just another one of those freak occurrences that will happen from time to time. And here's Kevin Harvick in 9th.
Yeah, even tonight, Gordon's car is okay. It's just not great yet.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick won this race back in 2011. When he's up in the top 10, this portion of the race, he could become the closer tonight.
Jamie McMurray has flirted with the top 10. He's the better of the 2 Ganassi cars right now, running in 10th, 16 seconds back of the lead in his Chevrolet. Here's Clint Boyer hard at work in his Toyota, trying to get past David Gilliland. 11th place, 17.5 behind the leader, Matt Kenseth.
I just love this shot. I mean, you're looking right into the eye of the Tiger. I mean, he's so focused and so concentrating and working hard, by the way.
Tony Stewart has come to pit road. Steve?
Tony Stewart in. He says it goes when I want to go, but it's like the nose is really light. I can't get on the gas when I want to.
This would be just inside the window of what would be our next set of green flag stops. You see Greg Biffle in the 16 as well.
Stewart was on the lead lap running in the teens, 17th. Now, a look at Matt Kenseth coming through and whipping past Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Boy,
who was
that
coming to pit road.
That really
Steve?
upset the 20.
Yeah, the trouble with Dale Earnhardt Jr., guys, he said his car has gotten loose, and he said really loose.
Paul Menard is in, so is Juan Pablo Montoya, and pit road is beginning to become a busy place. Mark Martin following Montoya down the pit lane. Steve.
Paul Menard having a good night, Mike. Interesting, they have been tight in the center most of the night, but they have good drive off the corner. Let's go to Matt.
Pablo Montoya, who's had 2 top 10s in the last 3 races, having another solid run tonight. The car, though, on the free side. They've already made a chassis adjustment, and he's away. Krista.
Jamie McMurray, you see Jamie in track bar going down 1 round on the last set of stops. No adjustments. Jamie McMurray happy with his race car so far.
Brad Keselowski got 4 new Goodyear tires and Sunoco race fuel. Krista?
Jimmy Johnson still saying his race car is loose. The adjustment they made did not go far enough. Jimmy Johnson saying his biggest issue into turn 3.
Brian Newman, Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, Martin Truex in the pit lane. Steve?
Clint Boyer in the 15, really trying to find the handle on his car. Remember, he said he thought he had a problem with the right rear. Let's go to Kristen.
And Steve, we heard Kyle Busch say his tires felt like basketballs. He also said he's a little darty into the turns, but he's really good in the center. Matt?
Casey Kane slides to a stop. He wanted to make an adjustment with the left front shock packer, but they were concerned about losing too much time. Air pressure changed for him, Steve.
Chassis adjustment for Kurt Busch as well as 4 tires, Matt. They're going to make a wedge adjustment. Meanwhile, Matt Kenseth slides into his pit stop like the pro that he is. He says, not a lot to complain about, guys. Just a little bit tight. Just help me turn a little bit better in the center, Krista.
And Carl Edwards just needing a little bit of help as well, especially in 3. Turn 3 is where he's loose. He's been tight tonight in 1 and 2. Matt?
And Joey Logano, who almost walked away with the big money at the All-Star race a week ago. They were talking about making a track bar adjustment. The car was more neutral, if anything, on the last run. A little bit snug in the center to Steve.
Matt Marcus Ambrose and the Drew Blickensderfer leg crew trying to rebound from the brake problem they had. 4 tire change for Ambrose. He's been fighting tight on exit all night.
Jeff Burton hits the pit lane. He'll be the last of the lead lap cars to make a stop here at 180 laps to go. So stops have cycled through. Matt Kenseth began with a 4.8 second lead over Casey Kane. Now Kenseth is 5.9 seconds up on Casey Kane and Kyle Busch. Matt Kenseth leads the Coca-Cola 600 by 6.2 seconds over Casey Kane. Toyota versus Chevrolet, with the first Ford Carl Edwards in 7th. Here's an inside look at what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. Denny Hamlin, 28:40 is the fastest lap of the race so far. Get unlimited access to NASCAR with the NASCAR Mobile 13 app and truly unlimited data from Sprint. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. Hamlin right now running 5th after starting from the pole. Here's Matt Yoakum.
Mike, impressive runs for Hamlin. Darlington, one of the toughest tracks. Tonight, the longest race on the circuit. During practice on Saturday, Denny Hamlin had his team put an 8-inch by 12-inch piece of gel padding in the lumbar area of his seat. He told me that he didn't really need it, but it is one of the longest races. He didn't want to take a chance. He said it was almost sort of like having heated seats in your car. You really don't need it. It's a luxury, but it's there. Denny Hamlin says, if anything, his car has been more on the free side this last run.
In that California crash, Hamlin cracked a vertebrae and was sidelined for several weeks while it was allowed to heal. Dr. Jerry Petty, Dr. Dom Kurek, the surgeons there who were involved in evaluating Hamlin, and finally determined he could go back to racing. The problem was A couple of weeks after the injury, the soft tissue around those bones had healed. So from that point on, Hamlin didn't know he was hurt, but only time could cure that fracture. It did. He got back in the race car. He's off and running.
Well, you saw from the in-car camera, this is not a smooth ride. You're bouncing around all the way around the racetrack. You see a guy in there bobbing up and down, bobbing up and down. Plus, from our camera, remember the banking. You go into the banking, you get a tremendous amount of download, G-forces, all right on the lower back where that injury was.
You know, guys, we just had our third set of green flag pit stops, and we keep well documenting how much ground can be made up getting on and off pit road plus the pit stop. This is those 2 laps that includes that green flag stop. Once again, Matt Kenseth in the 20 car, his team, they went to the top of the charts, but when you look at it, that's the same order those 3 Joe Gibbs drivers were on that last set of green flag pit stops. So Joe Gibbs Racing across the board, getting on pit road, getting off, and the stop. They're prevailing every time.
They're pretty happy about it too, Larry.
And they should be. You saw on the previous shot Ricky Stenhouse pulling off to pit road. He got off cycle a while ago on his pit stops, making an unscheduled stop. Crew's still at work. So he's just off sequence with everybody else.
Yeah, when he made that first unscheduled pit stop, he actually had a flat left rear.
Grabbing gears. The Olive Branch, Mississippi driver now at pit road speed. Crosses the start-finish line.
And you can see the lights right down here on his tack. Those are the lights that tell him that he's at pit road speed. They're all green. As long as they stay green, you're in good shape. Now he's out of pits, and you can see that the lights, the tack went red.
So as Matt Kenseth's lead has stabilized at 6.2 seconds, here's Jeff Hammond.
Well, guys, I'm down here on my command center. You can see right now I'm surrounded by some of America's finest. And believe me, they're race fans from Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch over here. We got one from Clint Boyer. We also got a Dale Jr. fan. But what we've been watching is how these teams have been trying to keep up with the racetrack. We said earlier that maybe that break that we had for the red flag and the cable issue may help some of these teams. But I think they got ahead of the racetrack or maybe got behind because of the delay. And right now it's starting to show up. We're seeing a lot of guys struggling because their cars are not where they need to be. And they're really going to have to hustle to catch up with what it looks like Joe Gibbs Racing has been able to do all night long. And that is keep up with the racetrack itself. And Joe Gibbs Racing, we're talking about as far as this number 20 car, Matt Kenseth, they've been solid all night long. But I want to give a big shout out. We talk about teamwork because of what's up here on this pit box with me. The way that 18 car was able to fix that, the damage they had and kept their driver up in the hunt all night long. It's really been outstanding.
Thanks, Jeff. Memorial Day, a time of remembrance for our U.S. military. Join NASCAR in saluting our service members. NASCAR.com/salutes or use the hashtag NASCAR salutes on Twitter and Instagram. 162 laps left to run. Matt Kenseth trying to wear him out. He leads Casey Kane's Chevrolet by 6.7 seconds. Caution for debris. Pits are open. Krista.
Kyle Busch saying he cannot deal with the loose in condition. I would rather keep tight center. Dave Rogers, the crew chief, saying, okay, bud, we're going to put you in a little bit different direction. Steve?
Krista, Matt Kenseth said, I started getting tight about 6 or 7 laps ago. Meanwhile, Kurt Busch says he feels like the tires are starting to fall off a bit, Matt.
In the previous run, Casey Kane said his car was harsh and rough. They made a chassis adjustment. Then he said the car has gone more to the freeze side. So they reversed a half a round on the left side, trying to get the car a little more tight.
Matt Kenseth exits pit road all by himself.
Man, they are nailing it. The pit stop was awesome. Matt's doing his job. That 20 car is on fire tonight.
Denny Hamlin, Jeff Gordon, and Kevin Harvick each gained a spot on pit road. Debris in the back straightaway puts us under the 4th caution of the night with 157 to go.
Proud of our troops and the NASCAR fans here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The Coca-Cola 600. 155 laps to go with Matt Kenseth leading Casey Kane. If you tuned in a little bit late, you could see it's dark there. We began on the daylight with the troops. Excited, more than 10,000 of the troops of family and friends. Casey Kane taking the lead from Matt Kenseth. And then Kyle Busch, who would later lead as well. A fiber rope from our overhead camera here on the track. He runs into it, and a closer look also affected other drivers. Michael.
You can see the right front fender wrinkle right there. He tore his right front fender off. Marcus Ambrose had that rope tie up underneath his car. NASCAR red flagged the race, and look at that damage, Chris. This team, when you put a championship contending team like Joe Gibbs Racing has with Kyle Busch, and you give them a challenge like that, they responded. Loved the job that they did. He left from that pit stop and led the race.
Kyle Busch did get, as you said, back into the lead, and fans just catching a break, whether you're in the stands or looking forward to the final moments. Let's, after 13 lead changes and 6 leaders, hand it back to Mike Joy.
I like that. Bring your own scaffold, bring your own sofa. Get a great spot to watch the race from the infield here at Charlotte. Those cars whizzing by are taking the wave around. They did not pit under this caution and instead chose to come around and get back one of their laps. None of them are back on the lead lap.
Has a whole new meaning to couch potato.
Yeah.
Daryl, speaking of choosing, it appears Matt Kenseth in the 20 car on this restart, he's went to the high side, the top side.
I am not a big fan of numerology, the study of numbers and how they affect things. However, and we're told they're going to wait one lap before they restart. They're going to bring one Pablo Montoya back in because he pitted twice. Now, he was the free pass car, but because he pitted twice, he's going to be held a lap. Second time around took fuel. And if you're wave around car, or if you're the free pass car, you are allowed to pit once with the lap down cars, but you're not, once you get that lap back, allowed to come in and top off.
There you go. Exactly.
So numerology. Nico Rosberg led every lap in Monaco this morning in the Formula One race. His car number is 9. Tony Kanaan wins the Indy 500. His car number is 11. Add them up, you got our leader, 20, Matt Kenseth. Consider that, if you will. The other number is 153. That's how many laps there are to go here in the Coca-Cola 600. Jason Ratcliffe, Matt Kenseth. We saw Jason last night, about 60 miles north of here in Winston-Salem, standing in line to sign in at Bowman Gray Stadium to watch his son Dakota race a late model. We got to see Jason Myers winning the modifieds. What'd you think of the Madhouse?
Oh, I love that place. It's such a great piece of history. I was so glad I got to go down there. It's kind of on my bucket list.
Play Fox Fantasy Racing presented by Ford. Pick your team of 5 drivers every week. Compete for weekly prizes all season long. Sign up today at foxsports.com/fantasy and pick your winning team.
You know, with the fuel window seemingly right now, a little hula hoop going down in the infield, but the fuel window about 44, 46 laps. Still a 3 pit stop race from here.
Boxing gloves, and what are we training for here?
Here's some more of not numerology.
We might want to double check where Hammond's at right now.
That can't be Hammond. Getting ready for the restart. Kenseth outside of Kane. Toyota versus Chevrolet. And Denny Hamlin's going to give his teammate a push down to turn 1. Kenseth with the lead. Kane trying for it on the bottom.
But now you see why Matt Kenseth took the outside, Larry. You see that momentum you get off of turn 2 really gives you a big advantage going down the back straightaway.
Fresh tires and full of fuel. Here they come off turn 4. Now Montoya on the tail end of the lead lap after that pass-through penalty, trying to stay on the lead lap that he just got back. Jeff Gordon challenging Denny Hamlin's number 11 for 5th, and trying to join the party, Kevin Harvick.
Little 24 car, Larry. He just keeps creeping in the picture. He gets a little closer to the front all night long.
And here's a battle between the 2 drivers that finished 1st and 2nd in the Sprint All-Star race. Jimmy Johnson in the 48. You're riding with him. Joey Logano in the 22. This is a battle for 8th. Joey Logano starting to make some noise late in this race.
I'll tell you, a guy that got a report is feeling really good. worried about him being a little ill when the race started. Casey Kane in the 5 car, his car has really picked up the pace too. He's coming right up here, and he's going to challenge our leader, Matt Kenseth.
But look at Logano in that 22 battling Jimmy Johnson. In his first year with Penske Racing after a long stint with Joe Gibbs, and still one of the youngest drivers on the tour, but now one of the most experienced. The only driver in history with a better average finish in this race than Joey Logano is the 1960 champion, Rex White. And now here's what's fresh off the wire, brought to you by KFC. Steve Burns.
Mike, still about 148 laps to go, but these teams already thinking about fuel strategy, how many stops it'll take to win this race. Here's the 20 team talking to their driver, Matt Kenseth.
Save me some fuel when you can, man. It's not urgent, but it's close here.
And that means that they're trying to keep an eye on cautious how they will fall. But again, they've done a fabulous job keeping up with this racetrack.
And that's what's fresh off the wire, as Matt Kenseth leads Casey Kane by half a second.
You remember a little bit ago when you said you thought something might have happened to Casey Kane in a run that we were having? Well, something just happened to him again off of turn 2 over there. The car was coming off a little high. You can see it there. It's a little squirrely. He had to get out of the throttle. Lost all that distance to our leader, Matt Kenseth. Looked like that car gets a little push in it sometime.
What had happened, he lost a second on one lap while he was trying to get around Juan Pablo Montoya. The same driver, Darrell, he was battling when you saw that. Here's a look back at Joey Logano, who turned 23 years old on Friday. And to be a veteran of this series at that young an age, I think he's finally coming into his own in his first season with Roger Penske.
You know, we sat down and talked to Matt Kenseth the other day, and he pointed something out to us. He said, what were 2 of the major driver changes headed into 2013? I made the move to Joe Gibbs Racing. Joey Logano made the move to Penske Racing, and we're both better off this year so far.
Kurt Busch goes past younger brother Kyle, who is smoking from the right rear a little bit. Just maybe as he went off into the corner. Darrell thought I saw a wisp of smoke there.
Kyle Busch just coming on the radio and said she's blowing up. The crew not really making any moves right now, except dejection on their faces. Kyle Busch's night, after all of that work, may be done.
One of the things that we've been really concerned about was excessive RPM. Once the heat went down, they're pulling a lot of gear in these cars here this weekend, turning a lot of RPM. Could see some more of this kind of problem.
You can see how much he's off the pace. He's probably a good killer.
Oh, trouble.
Yellow's out.
In the wall goes Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Greg Biffle.
Get low. All right, 33.
Fifth caution flag of the night. And
saw another car. Yeah,
heavy damage to Dave Blaney.
A couple other cars involved in this.
Junior, Biffle, and Blaney, and there may be more.
I saw a couple other cars. I saw the 7, and there was another car down here on the bottom of the racetrack. I think Dale Jr.'s car has got a lot of smoke coming out.
In the garage, we'll go look at it.
He's got an engine problem, or something's happened to that engine, or something's happened to the oil line, or something in the car.
That shouldn't be there.
You saw the hood going up on Kyle Busch's number 18 car. He was on pit road.
Now that's inside turns 3 and 4. Let's watch in the back straightaway.
Well, Biffle's been having his hands full with his car all night long. See if we can get an idea of what happened here, Larry. Oh, here you go, the 88. You see the smoke coming out of the 88? Something's wrong with his either the engine in the car or an oil line or something, because he's got a lot of smoke and I think fluid coming out of the car, and that's where this all gets started.
I think that was Biffle right behind him, up and into the wall. Is the number 16, the Ford of Biffle.
But if he indeed has an engine issue, we've already talked about Kyle Busch in the 18. I think he may have went to the garage area. That was the concern. The speeds, the pace of this race.
Now a T-bone crash following that, involving Travis Kvapil in the number 93 Toyota and Dave Blaney.
Well, Mike, there was definitely a lot of oil. You saw that smoke coming out of the 88 car. That was where all the oil and fluid came out on the track, and then these guys had no control over their cars. Yeah, we had talked to a number of engine people, and they were really worried about how many RPM they were turning here tonight.
So you can see the paint from the wall on the side of Blaney's car and parts coming down the track, a brake rotor breaking into pieces from Kvapil's impact, but Travis Kvapil hit something pretty hard.
Yeah, well, you can't, when you hit that oil, I mean, you can't slow down. It's like hitting ice, and it just picks up speed, really.
Kyle Busch is climbing out. From the first pit stall on pit road through the hospital area. Now this is from Dale
clear,
Jr.
half back with a run. He's looking inside. He's at your bumper. Say hi, say hi, say hi. You're blowing up there. Say hi, just say hi. Stay up against the wall here. Caution down. Just say way high.
She blew up. I mean, you could hear it. I mean, she just started rattling and making a lot of noise, and then the smoke, and then these guys got in the oil from the engine blowing up.
Yeah, from the amount of oil dry that's going down, headed into 3, all the way through the top groove, through 3 and 4, and down to pit road, a lot of oil obviously was down on this racetrack.
We had 4 engine failures in this race last year, 3 of them before the 500-mile mark. And we're now at lap 260, which would be just shy of 400 miles.
Yeah, and you heard a lot of talk as we see Kyle Busch walking back to his hauler in the garage here about saving fuel before that caution. Dale Earnhardt Jr. talking to a NASCAR official. I think indeed with pit road continuing to be closed, when these drivers hit pit road for Sunoco race fuel and 4 tires, I think we're to a window where it will be a 2-stop race.
Dale Jr. talking to crew chief Steve Letarte. Kyle Busch, who led all but 14 of the 200 laps yesterday, won't be around for the finish of this one.
Yeah, just the speeds, the RPM, that hanging RPM never goes way down, and add in the length of this race, tacking on practice and all, well, it's hard on these engines.
I think that's the thing, Larry. I mean, they try to regulate or try to control the miles you put on these engines practicing, but you got to practice. And then you add in the 150 miles maybe that you do in practice, and you're going to run a 600-mile race tonight. RPM are sky high, more than they've ever turned over here before. The speeds are greater than they've ever been before, and you're going to have some failures.
Travis Kvapil, you can see all the yellow paint on the front bumper, what was left of the bumper after he got turned into the wall. Pit road is open. Matt Kenseth has stayed out. Steve?
Mike, let's take a look at what Kurt Busch does in the 78. He said, my car's driving pretty good. We have a clue he might take just right side tires only on the 78. Matt?
Casey Kane looking to protect his track position. They're going to go with right side tires only. Meanwhile, the 24 of Jeff Gordon, he hit the wall, and there were fumes coming in the right side. They were going to see if they could do anything, if there was a possible crush panel loose, but he did scrape the wall. Right side tires for Gordon as well.
Well, there's been some games played on the end of pit road down there. I don't know where the timing lines are. These guys do, and they've been really jockeying for position going down pit road tonight.
Montoya is the free pass once again, and if Kenseth does not stop, no one will be allowed to move around him and take the wave around.
Back live at the Coca-Cola 600, time for an AT&T race break, brought to you by the nation's fastest 4G LTE network. Kyle Busch led 65 laps, but now 0 for 19 at Charlotte. We're under caution, and Krista Voda is standing by. Krista?
Kyle Busch has come out of his hauler, and to say his night was filled with frustration and disappointment would be a huge understatement. To come back from what you guys came back from, to have the night end early, how do you manage?
Well, I commend NASCAR, first of all, on taking action and giving us all a chance to repair our damaged cars from the issue that we had earlier in the race. So I appreciate that. But from there, you know, just, I thought we were about a 4th, 5th place car tonight, and we'd been running 1st, 2nd, 3rd much of the evening, but just catastrophic engine failure. Seems to be that time of year again. So I hate it for all my guys. I mean, they've worked all too hard, and they always do. But Dave Rogers and these guys, they poured their hearts and souls into this deal, and it's just so frustrating to see it end on a short note like that and not get the finish that we needed. But we go to Dover.
Thanks for taking the time to talk with us, Kyle. Jeff Hammond.
Yeah, I'm caught up here with Dale Earnhardt Jr. And Dale, you were saying you and Kyle both blew up on the same lap. Did you have any indication that the engine was getting ready to go down on you?
Yeah, we had smoke in the cockpit for about 3 laps. It smelled something burning. Thought it was a rubber buildup on the header or something. Then we started losing power to the last lap before it broke, and now the water and the oil mixed together, and that's never good. So we didn't have a really good car. We know why, and we can go back, and we feel like we can rebound real quick from this as far as being more competitive. Just hope everybody's okay from the accident in the stands, and wish everybody a happy Memorial Day weekend. It's been a lot of fun, and I take a lot of pride in representing the National Guard, and hope everybody shakes the soldier's hand this weekend, and thank them for what they do.
Thanks a lot, Dale. Chris?
All right, thanks, Jeff. 136 laps to go under caution. The Kyle Busch comments. Remember, he was the leader when the fiber from the camera created the problem, handled that interview. And Fox, we will hold an internal investigation to get to the bottom of exactly what happened, what caused that problem. But Kyle held up well under the circumstances. Said he didn't really have a first-place car, but certainly ran that well up front.
Yeah, he had a really strong car. You see the frustration in Kyle Busch's face, and Dale Jr. the same way. Both these guys are racing for a championship, up in the top 10 in points, racing to win the Coca-Cola 600, and they had issues that took them out of the race, but both of them were just very mature in handling what all went wrong and moving on to Dover, like Kyle Busch said.
As we welcome in Darrell Larry and Mike, Matt Kenseth, the leader, staying out, saying he knows he's in some trouble, wants to try to keep it in clean air. And also, you know what, you always talk about the closer. Look, Kevin Harvick won this race. Remember, leading 1 lap, 2 laps total at the end of all 600, and he's kind of moved into the picture of this as well, Mike.
And that could happen, Chris, but everybody on the lead lap except Matt Kenseth came in for fuel and at least 2 tires. Would you rather have clean air out front or have fuel and tires?
Well, I'd like to have both. But here's
sure you would.
You talked about numerology. I'm thinking it's the full moon, man, because there is some weird stuff going down tonight, things that I've never seen before. And right now, staying out, that's a little weird to me. I think I'd have come in and got 2 in gas.
Larry, Matt has 18 laps less fuel than the rest of the lead lap cars.
But the biggest thing, I think, the laps he has on his tires, and I know having 10 or 12 laps on tires versus fresh tires last week in the All-Star race, that was not a good situation, especially one driver versus everyone else.
Well, let's see how this sorts out and if they can make it on just 2 more pit stops. It'll be Matt Kenseth choosing the outside. Casey Kane will be on the inside for the restart. Kane's teammate Jeff Gordon with Kurt Busch in the 2nd row. Jimmy Johnson, a 3rd Hendrick car with Ryan Newman. Martin Truex with Kenseth's remaining teammate Denny Hamlin. Kevin Harvick and birthday boy Joey Logano will round out the top 10. Here we go. Green flag. Kane and Kurt Busch both with 2 fresh tires on that stop. Chase Matt Kenseth out of turn 2.
Larry, could the plan be that, okay, I hear you guys say it all the time, it didn't do anything for us to stop right there. It didn't get us in any of our fuel windows. Could that be what they're thinking?
Darrell, I felt like if you could pit somewhere between lap 250 and 255, and these guys pitted at lap 261, it absolutely was a 2-stop race. That's another reason I'm not sure why they kept Matt Kenseth out there.
Single file through 8. Logano challenging Harvick for 9th place out of turn number 2 with his yellow Ford up on the high side. Logano, Harvick stay side by side, and we listened in on Matt Kenseth and his team.
Stay. Dad, come in.
Sorry, bud. You told me to stay. I was coming, but
I know. I just heard too much chatter on the radio.
Yeah, it's 10-4.
So Jason Ratcliffe saying they thought other teams were also staying out.
Yeah, I think he felt like they were, and then he looks up and everybody's on pit road except his driver, Matt Kenseth.
It wasn't that they made a mistake. It's that everybody else did what they didn't do.
That makes a whole lot more sense right there as to what happened.
That's a different Matt Kenseth than what I've heard before. In the past, Matt Kenseth would have said, I'm coming. But this year, he believes in his crew chief. He believes in his team, and he did what he was told.
Go back to the leader's pit and Steve.
Yeah, Mike, the end of that transmission, too. Matt Kenseth said to Jason Ratcliffe, hey, we might get beat up a little bit here, but don't worry about it. We're in this thing together.
And that's exactly what I was talking about, Mike. I mean, Matt, I've heard him in the past when he was driving for Ralph Stickley. I've heard him sometimes disagree with calls that the crew chief might make. He did not disagree one bit there. He did what he was told.
Ryan Newman, the 39, among those who took 2 tires on that stop. He's the 5th place car ahead of Jimmy Johnson, opting for just 2 tires for increased track position. Here's our sprint breaking down the race, and let's talk about the nighttime being the right time.
Well, just remember, when we started the race, the track temp was 105 degrees. Look how much it's dropped. We're gaining a lot of grip. We're going to see the fastest speeds in the race, but I love this one. Man, you've got what you've got. You just got to get up on that wheel and get after it.
Larry, Matt Kenseth just ran, just shortly ago, ran his fastest lap at 28:39. On those older tires.
Yeah, and he's in clean air. Obviously, he's got a good working race car, but to me, the fuel is the thing that I really think might put him in a box.
I think it will.
He may not be in clean air for long because Casey Kane is filling up Matt Kenseth's rear view.
Hey guys, I just have to think that if Matt Kenseth can run with these guys on these old tires and hold Casey Kane off as long as he had, when they get 4 fresh ones on it versus everyone else, they're not going to be able to beat Matt Kenseth. That car is fast. I'm thoroughly impressed that he's been able to stay out there on those older tires and lead this race.
Casey Kane, Michael, with just 2 tires on that stop, has now passed Kenseth for the lead. And Kane is in the position in which he started the day, leading 86 laps in the sunshine. Now he's back out front in the nighttime.
Yeah, but I think the biggest problem for the 20 car Matt Kenseth is they put themselves in a box they didn't have to get in. And that's what's going to hurt them.
The caution that came out of lap 257 had 4 cars involved. Jeff Hammond with another.
Yeah, I'm down here with the 16 car, and you can see the damage to this right front wheel on the 16. And the thing is, right now, you talk about frustration. Greg Biffle, he didn't have a whole lot to say because he was a victim of the 88 car. When they lost the engine, he got in that oil, went up, slapped that outside wall. Now this team is trying to effect repairs to get him back out to save some valuable points, guys.
Boy, it's been a tough night for one of NASCAR's hardest chargers, Greg Biffle. Casey Kane, your leader, with 125 to go. Matt Kenseth second, Kurt Busch third, Jeff Gordon fourth, and here's our 5th place driver, Ryan Newman. Kane's lead over Matt Kenseth right now 2.1 seconds. Kurt Busch a further 1 second back. Jeff Gordon another second back, and Ryan Newman in 5th, 7/10 behind Jeff Gordon. So Kenseth has been out front for 112 laps tonight. 117 laps to go.
Pick up a little paper on the grill too, Mike. I just noticed going down the straightaway here, you see it on the left corner there. Don't know if that's going to affect the car or not, but he does have a little trash on the grill.
Kurt Busch in 3rd, 3.3 off the lead after starting outside pole. Jeff Gordon has had a nice night, coming from 14th up into the top 5. And Ryan Newman began 10th. And he is 5th.
All of these drivers changed 2 tires on that last stop.
Except for Kenseth, who of course did not stop and will have to be in shortly. How about a Sunday night Memorial Day weekend salute to the troops? Fox Sports 1, rank it up. 112 laps to go. Casey Kane 2.6 in front of Matt Kenseth. The big question of Kenseth is, when will he stop? Larry, he was last on pit road at lap 243. Everybody else came in during the caution flag that came 18 laps later.
Yeah, I think it's important to set this up because I watched him earlier run 48 laps to a green flag pit stop. So if you do 243 and 248, it puts you at 291. Still not enough to get there on 2 stops, but since he was on pit road, we've had about 15 caution laps. Remember, cautions are 2-to-1 ratio to green, so add another 7 laps to that possibly. If we see him get close to lap 300, I think he and Jason Ratcliffe are trying to make this a 2-stop race like every other driver has already done by pitting after that.
Still got that grill, got a little debris on the grill, but on our Crank It Up, did you hear those engines? I mean, the RPM they're turning these engines tonight are amazing. I am so impressed that if anybody that can finish this race turn the kind of RPM they're turning. Listen, that thing is screaming down through there.
That's Montoya shooting past Stenhouse, and there is Kevin Harvick from Jimmy Johnson as they run 7th and 8th. Jeff Gordon has had a nice drive up into the top 5. He's in 4th place, Matt.
Absolutely, Mike, but the concern now for Jeff Gordon is the fact that he says the temperatures are climbing. He asked if there's debris on the grill. They said yes, there was a small piece. The oil temperature was just over 270. They told him that he will have to pit if it gets close to 290, but right now they're trying to stretch it out where they can reach their window. That's the game plan now.
Just don't see a whole lot of debris there. I see that yellow tape that the teams have put on their little patches. I don't see a whole lot of debris on his grill.
Yeah, I think these drivers that made that stop on that last caution, they're going to have to try to take it to about lap 304 to 306 to make it on one more stop beyond that.
Well, we heard Jason Ratcliffe tell Matt, can save me some fuel. That was before that caution came out.
Time and fuel have run out for Matt Kenseth. 18 laps less fuel than the rest of the leaders. He had to come to pit road, Steve.
And Mike, he wants to make sure they clean the grill. He'd gotten a little bit overheated on that run. Definitely 4 tires. And he said, just help me turn the center a little bit better. 4 tires for Matt Kenseth.
So Kenseth back in the fray, surrenders 2nd place to Kurt Busch. Truex moves up to 3rd, then Jeff Gordon, Ryan Newman. Here's an inside look at what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. He and Casey Kane have tied for most laps led in this race. The NASCAR Mobile 13 app and unlimited access to NASCAR. When you're on the Sprint network, no metering, no throttling. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. Clint Boyer in.
Comes at 48.
And Jimmy Johnson coming, Steve.
Mike, Clint Boyer said his car was tight and plowing like the proverbial dump truck. 4 tires of fuel. Krista.
Jimmy Johnson saying he is snug across the center of the turns, but he really doesn't think his car is running well. Adjustments coming. Hoping this is the segment where he can make up some ground.
Brad Keselowski also in as Matt Kenseth starts this round of green flag pit stops a little early.
Comes at 24.
Matt?
The 24 of Jeff Gordon coming down pit road. Now he used the rear bumper of the 34 of David Reagan to help get the debris off the grill. He said the temperature's starting to come down. Caution on the racetrack.
There is debris in turn number 1, and that will put us under caution for the 6th time today with 97 laps to go.
Now they're going to go ahead and do the service work on the 24 car because as long as they're just going to go with 2 right side tires. As long as they beat the leader to the exit of pit road, they stay on the lead lap of those 2 right side tires.
I think Kenseth will be okay too. I believe he gets the lucky dog.
Yeah, he should get the free pass, and the other cars that just made a pit stop would be eligible for the wave around should they choose not to pit again.
Yeah, it looks like possibly Jeff Gordon did not beat Casey Kane back to that exit of pit road, even with just going with the 2 tires.
He's in front of the pace car there.
That's a good sign.
I think that means he stayed on the lead lap.
It was just barely.
So here's Jeff Gordon coming out.
All right, he was on pit road before it got closed. I think Casey Kane, though, he had already went by.
I think he had, Larry, because I saw the 78 car of Kurt Busch go by, and there's Casey going into turn 1 right there.
So he did not win that battle, but you know, you would have to back it up all the way to where the exact exit of pit road is determined.
Yeah, because you see here, Jeff's going to go by the pace car. Going to go by Casey Kane, our leader, by the pace car. I think he must have been in the right spot on the timing lines to be able to stay ahead of the leader.
So we're now told by NASCAR that Jimmy Johnson was the first car 1 lap down at the moment of caution, and will be the free pass car. Will sort out the rest of the field that made pit stops just prior. Matt Kenseth began the run onto pit road because he had not been to pit road on the prior caution. He stayed out. Everybody behind him did the opposite, and so they had to come for gas under green and tires, and that started bringing other lead lap cars to pit road, and then the caution came for a piece of debris down in turn number 1. So with 95 laps to go and at least 1 more pit stop, this may change the complexion of things somewhat. Jeff Gordon is now backed up into position behind race leader Casey Kane.
Well, you got a lot of ways to get back on the lead lap. You can take the wave around.
And that's they have to take the wave around.
That's what
they've got
do.
Fuel and 2 right side tires. Because we know Casey Kane's going to be coming to pit road. In fact, a lot of these drivers that's not pitted, you see them up on the banking. We were real close to them having to come to pit road. I'm sure that, and I think pit road will be open this time.
It is, Larry. And here comes Kane right away for service. Followed by Kurt Busch, Martin Truex, and others. Krista?
Ryan Newman has slowly worked himself into contention with adjustments all night long. He's a little bit tight in the center, free off, so they will do adjustments. Again, there you see the wrench going in. They're also cleaning the grill. Their temps were getting hot, Steve.
Krista, on the last stop, Kurt Busch took just 2 tires. He says the track is gaining a lot of grip. This time, 4 tires, Matt.
Debate between Kenny Francis and Casey Kane about whether to make a track bar adjustment or not, knowing they have 1 more stop. No changes for the 5. Meanwhile, Martin Truex Jr. tweaking the balance of his car with a slight air pressure change. He was up to 3rd.
Casey Kane handily wins the race off pit road, where Denny Hamlin picks up 3 spots in the exchange. And the line back up, try it again with 94 laps to go in Charlotte. Now here's a look at our Fox Sports 1 race summary. Casey Kane is the leader. 14 cars on the lead lap, 14 lead changes among 6 drivers, 6 caution flags, and a 27-minute red flag. Matt Kenseth has been out in front for 112 laps. Casey Kane for 120 so far. The line back up for the restart. And things get worse for Jimmy Johnson. He came in to change a battery, got back out on the lead lap, had to come in and stop again, missing a lug nut when he left pit road. Now taking the wave around were Matt Kenseth and Clint Boyer, because they had stopped under green before this caution. Jeff Gordon decided to come back in, so he is not back on the lead lap. He's 1 down, along with Tony Stewart, Mark Martin, Marcus Ambrose, Jeff Burton, Danica Patrick, Almirola, and Keselowski. 14 lead lap cars as we get ready to restart. Casey Kane up front has elected the outside against the outlaw, Kurt Busch. So Kenseth all the way back to 12th, and a lot of ground to make up with 91 laps to go.
Oh, plenty of time to do it. Got them all bunched up right here in front of them. Just pass a whole bunch of them all at once.
Yeah, we've got 14 drivers on the lead lap. Here goes Casey Kane in that 5. Kurt Busch in the 78, battling hard down the back straightaway.
Kurt Busch has led 1 lap tonight. He's going for 2.
Oh boy, what a mess behind them. Don't look back.
And that'll be Kane at the stripe to lead that one. Busch is not to be denied. Sparks fly down in turn number 1 among the 2 leaders, not together, but against the asphalt. And Kane gets the drive off the corner from the high side.
Yeah, gets that nice run.
Kenseth rim riding 3 wide all the way around turn 2 and through the middle of the field, coming hard. 28th in line on that restart, because he had to line up behind not just the lead lap cars, but all the cars when he took the wave around. But Matt Kenseth is wasting no time trying to march to the front.
It's kind of what I was saying, Mike. You got them all right there in front of him. He passed a whole bunch of them all at once. We'll get right back up there.
Still coming, still trying. Way up high, you saw that orange car come off turn number 2. And look at the traffic as caution.
Debris on the bottom end 4. Caution's out, debris on the bottom end 4.
And you heard it. That'll be the 7th caution tonight. Lap 311, Marcus Ambrose will get the free pass. And trouble with Landon Castle. Looks like he had a right rear down.
Definitely got sparks flying out from that thing. Whole right side's caved in.
Right front after pasting the wall.
Yeah.
I think these drivers definitely know we're getting in the closing stage of this race, and they're just getting more and more aggressive on these restarts.
Castle goes to the garage. I believe he was the debris in turn 4.
Oh yeah, he's got a right front tire down right there. That, see the car take off like that right front tire down, shot him right into the outside wall. You can see there the right front's flat.
Yeah, Darrell, he was turning the steering wheel, but she was going straight.
No.
Got a bad hand right there. Marcus Ambrose is the free pass car. That'll give us 15 on the lead lap. Now what do you do if you're Jeff Gordon or Tony Stewart? You're 1 lap down. I guess it all depends on if those lead lap cars pit.
Yeah,
I don't think they have much chance here, Larry.
Yeah, the leaders at the front, they're not going to come in. The lead lap drivers somewhat toward the back, we may see them come on to pit road.
But that will not improve the fortunes of the cars 1 lap down. Fox Sports sends our thoughts and sympathies to all of those in Moore and Shawnee, Oklahoma after this week's storms. You can help by texting Red Cross to 90999 on your cell phone to make a $10 donation on your phone bill, or go to redcross.org. You can help, and those folks could use your help. So the driver from Iowa, Landon Castle, brings out this caution flag. Had a rash of yellow fever here. 4 of the race's 7 caution flags have come in the last 70 laps.
Yeah, well, when you got a race this long, and even with the red flag, you just keep stringing things out, and obviously more and more things are going to happen, and these restarts are going to become more and more intense as we draw near the end of this race.
We're still 21 laps from 500 miles. And then another 100 miles to go.
Yes, and trust me, every guy out there is doing the math, and they know it too. There's still a ways to go, and Matt Kenseth is one guy that's glad of it.
Well, Kevin Harvick there, we just saw him in his 29 car. He's right up there inside the top 5 and 4th right now.
Chris Myers?
All right, thanks, Mike. Just one of the issues from earlier this evening on lap 122 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Our overhead cam, fiber rope snapping loose coming out onto the track, and you can see it hanging there if you watch closely. At the time, Kyle Busch, there is his car, the 18 car, the leader, certainly had an effect. Marcus Ambrose caught underneath. Jeff Hammond shows you the actual fiber that snapped, and also 10 fans were injured. As you see, they repaired 7 of those fans, treated and released from the hospital, 3 at the hospital, I should say, for further observation. But drivers, after a 40-minute delay overall, a caution, then the red flag, got back to racing. And Kyle Busch out of the race at this point, having led some 65 laps in the race. And here's the camera that is out of operation and out of harm's way at the moment, with Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers excited for the end of this as pit road, Mike, is open.
306, that was the lap count when most of the lead lap cars were on pit road, and that was only 8 laps ago. So as Larry says, likely to be few takers toward the front of the pack, and we are scoring 14 cars on the lead lap Marcus Ambrose will be the 15th when he takes the free pass.
And we have 8 drivers that's going to be clawing and fighting to be the first driver one lap down, like Ambrose and Gordon, Stewart, Martin, Burton, Almirola, Danica Patrick, Brad Keselowski, trying to be the first driver one lap down to get the free pass should the caution come out.
Yeah, that's the race within the race right now. This guy right here, he's trying to get back up there. Matt Kenseth in the 20, but those guys trying to get in that one lap down position to get the lucky dog. That is a huge deal.
Steve.
Matt Kenseth is going to take 4 tires and fuel. They're also going to give him an air pressure adjustment, try and get him tuned up for the end of this race so they can rebound from their earlier miscommunication. 4 tires for Matt Kenseth.
Jimmy Johnson, Jamie McMurray, Clint Boyer also came in. I like this move by the 20 team, Larry, if it'll put him in position for a one-stop race to the finish.
I think they're there.
Smokes in 17th place. He's one of a group of cars 1 lap down. There are 7 of them who are going to try to fight to be back on the lead lap. Gordon, Stewart, Martin, Burton, Patrick, Almirola, and Keselowski. 15 lead lap cars front of the field, 83 laps and at least 1 pit stop to go. Green flag, Kane on the outside, Kurt Busch on the inside once again.
Whoa, a little 3 wide action here.
Truex, Martin Truex all the way to the bottom, 3 wide.
3 wide off turn 2. Can they make it down the back without crashing? Yeah, I believe they can.
We've long said that restarts are the best opportunity to gain a spot.
Oh, yeah, baby.
And Martin Truex trying to break that long winless streak. And in the wall, 2 cars hard in the wall in turn 3. Danica Patrick and Brad Keselowski.
Oh, more damage on the 2. Looked like the right front was locked up and took it right into the wall. Boy, they destroyed his car.
The defending series champion who spent the day on Roger Penske's pit box in Indianapolis said he might like to try the Indy 500 someday.
Yeah, the right front's all locked up and bowed in there, and he can't, it really doesn't, I don't know if he's going to get it back to the pits or not, back to the garage.
He's had a rough couple of weeks here at Charlotte. Tore transmission up on lap 1 in the Sprint All-Star race last week.
Been tough.
Remember those 7 cars that were fighting for the 1 lap down transfer position? There's 2 of them right there with Ricky Stenhouse inside them.
Yeah, I think it got a little tight. Ricky maybe it moved up a little bit and caused Danica to move up a little bit. Got into the 2 car of Keselowski and into the wall they go. When they were going down the back 2 and 3 wide like that, I said, man, I don't know if it's going to work or not.
Well, let's ride with Danica.
Still 3 middle. Clear high, clear high.
Ouch.
Coming to you guys. Right front.
A lot of bad things happening very, very fast.
Yeah, you just can't, you know, the 17 car, Stenhouse was down on the very bottom, Danica's in the middle, and Keselowski up on the outside. Just wasn't enough room.
Danica's made 1 pit stop, and she's coming back in for more repair. Brad Keselowski will climb out after a hard hit here with 80 laps to go in Charlotte. 15 lead lap cars back to Tony Stewart, who got the free pass on that caution. And still 4 cars trying to get from 1 lap back. And Casey Kane does not take off. It is Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick leading the field into turn 1.
I tell you, that 78 took off, though. He is long gone.
Yeah, but Martin Truex Jr. in that 56, he was all over the back of Casey Kane. That's not the first time that he didn't have a good restart tonight. Had one earlier.
Yeah, not very good. Spin the tires earlier, but I don't know what happened there. It just didn't go, didn't look like.
And the big loser there was Martin Truex, who was lined up behind Casey Kane. Truex is back to 6th place. Matt, what happened to Kane?
Mike, just about every recent restart, Casey Kane has added.
Oh, trouble run straight away. 3 wide and 2 cars pile hard into the wall.
It's a terrible wreck. Mark Martin got into the, I think it was maybe the 43 of Almirola. They came together, and that really created this huge crash.
They were 3 wide at the start-finish line, Darrell, and none of those 3 drivers would give. That's Jeff Gordon, along with Eric Almirola and Mark Martin in a hard crash. Bobby Labonte also has damage, and we're under caution at lap 325 for the 9th time. The window net is down, and that's a signal to safety crews that the driver is okay and going to climb out under his own power. We're going to stop the cars here on the front straightaway. It all started at the start-finish line.
Yeah, I saw him coming through here 3 wide, and they kind of came together right down here as you kind of fan out to get down into turn 1. You'll see Almirola. Here's Jeff Gordon, Almirola right in there.
And here's Mark Martin just
right
ahead
here.
of them.
And I think what Almirola does is Almirola comes under Mark as they come out of the turn 4 area and get down here into the tri-oval. You see you're going to get 3 wide right here. They start down through here. Almirola's got a nice run. He's up along the side of Mark. Jeff Gordon up on the outside over here. And right here, it looks like Mark maybe gets a little loose or maybe cuts down trying to make that dog leg and gets into the side of Almirola. And I thought these cars were going to go over right here. They got up in the air pretty good.
And Mark came up into Ricky Stenhouse, Casey Mears, and Bobby Labonte involved.
Yeah, this is Stenhouse down here, Bobby Labonte down here.
David Stremme, a near miss.
Boy, he almost got into.
You're riding with Stenhouse.
21 still in there. Watch those 3 wide cats ahead of you here. Watch it here.
Here you go. Here's a great shot right here. Let's see what Mark's in the middle. You got Jeff Gordon up on the outside, Mark in the middle. And right there where Almirola needs to come back to come up off of the tri-oval right there, he gets into Mark Martin.
Darrell, it narrows down so much in those dog legs.
It does. I mean, you got to get some room there, buddy.
Well, right at that point is the second dog leg where the track turns. If that had been a straightaway, no problem. Everybody gets sorted out. But there is a turn to the left right there after the start-finish line. And there they go.
It got real dicey. I mean, when you get 3 wide right there, and then already Almirola's trying to move up to get around, not getting the grass, got into Mark, and here they go.
It's Kenny Francis, Casey Kane's crew chief. Probably had no idea what was going on.
There's the corporate right there. I think that's causing us a lot of heartache tonight.
Jeff Gordon's car hauled off.
That car took a hard hit. Jeff Gordon did.
Steve Burns.
And Mike, there may be problems on that 78 car of Kurt Busch. He just told crew chief Todd Berrier, we have no power to this car right now.
No power.
Well, it could be that ECU box. It might have to be reset.
Okay. Mark Martin in the garage. Let's go back to the restart. We've said the biggest racing of the night is going to be on these restarts. Everybody on fresh tires trying to get what they can get. And Casey Kane's car just did not take off. There's Truex pinned right behind him in the 56, nowhere to go.
But you see right there as they come through to that last little bit of the front straightaway, how you got to have enough room to get around that corner right there.
So we're stopped under red as they clean up in turn number 1 from this 9th caution flag and 2nd red flag of the night, Chris. Chris Myers?
Well, sorry about that, Mike. I was just talking to Michael Waltrip about the highlights we were choosing to go with, and we'll start with the overhead camera and the fiber that snapped during the race.
You can see it gets into the right front of Kyle Busch's car. There's Jeff Hammond showing us what the rope looked like. But look at these repairs this team made. They went to work, got that car back in action, but Dale Jr. blows an engine, causes a big wreck down at 3 and 4, Chris.
Came in 4th in points, and then after leading a total of 65 laps, when Kyle got out of the car, he said there's nothing to fix. And then, of course, Ricky Stenhouse near Danica Patrick, and the reigning champ without his crew chief. Paul Wolfe returns next week. Brad Keselowski taken out, and then this, a 6-car mix-up. They're going, nearly 200 miles per hour.
They certainly are. And watch Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart was right in the middle of that crash in that bright orange car. He skimmed right through the middle of them. Great job by Tony.
Eric Almirola in the top 10 in points, caught up in that, and our Chris Devoda is standing by with him.
Yeah, Chris, Eric Almirola just taking another look at it on our monitor. So I know real estate is tight out there. What happened?
Yeah, we were racing for the Lucky Dog. We had just gotten our U.S. Air Force Ford Fusion a lot better. And I got under Mark off of turn 4, and I was almost clear of him, and I was down next to the grass, and I think maybe he just misjudged, and he clipped me in the right rear quarter panel. It's unfortunate. I know he probably didn't mean to do that, but kind of stinks. We just got our car a lot better, too. And we were going back through there. We're racing for the Lucky Dog spot, and that was for the Lucky Dog, so unfortunate.
Disappointed Eric Almirola. Steve?
Well, Krista, Todd Berrier, the crew chief on the 78 car, talking to his crew right now. I heard Kurt Busch say we don't have any power. Are you guys going to be able to get restarted?
Yeah, we'll see here. We're going to have a wrecker push us off, and assuming the thing will crank, everything will be fine. If not, we'll have to get it in here and put a battery in it and overcome that. So not a whole lot we can do at this point. Just have to see how it plays out here after this push off, and hopefully the thing does crank up.
Good luck, Todd.
All right, thank you.
Thanks very much. Kurt Busch, the single car team, trying to work his way back. Todd Berrier, 53 races since Kurt Busch's last win, which was Dover back in 2011, under the 3rd red flag of the evening.
Yeah, we've heard him say he doesn't have any power. They're going to get a wrecker to push him off. You can see Kurt trying to work his wheels back and forth, maybe try to get a little run down the front straightaway to see if he can bump it over. But some issues for that car, but he's been fast all night long. Very solid.
And 74 laps to go into the red flag. Let's go back to Krista. She's with Mark Martin, who was caught up in that 6-car wreck moments ago.
Yeah, unfortunately, a busy garage area is not a good thing at this point in the race. Mark, let's take another look at it here. What happened?
They just went 3 wide, and I got squeezed in there. We trying to run the thing 3 wide, and there just wasn't quite room there. I hate it. I hope everybody's okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Krista. So at this point, with 74 to go, we've had 15 lead changes, 7 different leaders, and under the red flag, Casey Kane has led the most laps, 130. Matt Kenseth, 112 laps led. Let's head back upstairs to Darrell Waltrip.
Yeah, let's see if we can talk to the second place runner here, Kevin Harvick. Hey, Kevin Harvick, DW, got a copy there, my friend?
Sir.
Hey, it's getting a little crazy out there, buddy. What are you seeing?
Actually, we're not seeing much. Seems like everything's happening behind us, but it's a little bit tough to pass. So you got to really get aggressive on the restarts to try to make the ground up. If you need to make 2 or 3 spots up, that's when you're going to do it. Otherwise, you're only going to get 1 or 2. So it's definitely got to get aggressive on those restarts, and that's what's happening.
Buddy, you've made some great adjustments. You've worked your way right up there in 2nd spot right now. Can you pull it off?
I don't know. We just, we've had a good solid night so far, and we just need to see what our car's like when we actually get going. We hadn't really gone more than a lap here up in clean air, so that'll be the telltale sign as to where we stand when we're in clean air.
All right, buddy, we'll finish it off, and thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
All right, Darrell, let's check in on Jeff Gordon. Jeff Hammond is standing by.
Jeff, looked like you're pretty much a victim of 3 wide racing with 74 laps to go.
Well, we're a victim of the caution coming out when we were on pit road. Shouldn't have stopped in the box and did that pit stop. We'd still been in the lead lap. Instead, we're racing 3 wide, and that's what's going to happen when you're. We're just going for the lucky dog, and you got to be real aggressive back there. And I
I got beat on the restart before that with Ambrose and messed that one up. So I just hate we were even back there. We had an awesome drive-in Hunger Chevrolet. Love the patriotic colors on our car this weekend, and just a shame that we were even back there. You know, we had a car that we couldn't win. Casey's unbelievable, but we had a top 5 car.
Glad you're all right.
Thanks, Jeff. And Jeff, you can hear the frustration, the disappointment in his voice. Kasey Kahne currently is 4th. Michael Waltrip, want to go back to Kevin Harvick, who is 10th in points, currently has a win this year. But in 2011, and I touched on it earlier, he led only 2 laps and won the Coca-Cola 600, and that's the fewest laps ever led in a 600-mile race. The nickname, the closer. He's hung around. He's in pretty good position with 74 to go.
Yeah, he said he has to beat, or Jeff Gordon was saying Kasey Kahne was awesome. He had the best car, but Casey's got to get these restarts figured out. He spins his tires. He doesn't get going. Harvick raced up to the 2nd spot, and the leader, Kurt Busch, has some issues with his car. He doesn't think it's going to refire. Could be some electronic control unit problems with that car. The wrecker behind him will see if it'll push off.
Maybe a battery change?
It could possibly be a battery change, but when it just goes dark that quick, you think maybe it could be something more serious.
71 laps to go, just slightly over 100 miles. And Jeff Burton, who you just saw in that video, gets the free pass. Here's a look at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 9 caution flags tonight. Debris, Casey Mears, debris in the back straightaway. Crash in turn number 3. Dale Earnhardt Jr. lost an engine. Debris in turn number 1. Up in turn 4, Landon Castle's crash. And right there at the dogleg as they race 3 wide, now that's where the final caution came out. We've had 9 of them, a total of 9 of them tonight. Not sure we're done on a full moon Sunday night in Charlotte.
Yeah, I don't feel real good about us being done, Mike. This is so aggressive, and you've heard every driver say, even Harvick said, these restarts are crazy. This is when you make your moves, and that's when you get in trouble.
But I think Jeff Gordon said it best, and you said it, Darrell, the race within the race. Yeah, we've got the race for the race lead, but we've got the race for those drivers trying to be that first driver 1 lap down to get back in this thing.
And that's what Eric Almirola said. That's what they were fighting for, to be in the position to get the free pass, get back into contention, and it's desperate time.
Oh yeah, well that's what the lucky dog does. I mean, it puts you in traffic racing somebody that you're trying to get ahead of, so if the caution comes out, you just don't want to be the caution. But how many times have we seen it happen?
Matt Yoakum?
And Mike, to put a period on the 5-car of Kasey Kahne's restart issues, they've had several discussions before every restart of different things he might try so that he doesn't spin the tires. And meanwhile, Martin Truex Jr., he was concerned about possibly restarting behind the 5 as well, because that messed up his restart in the last time. He lost several positions, Jeff.
Well, Matt, you talk about spinning tires. What I want to focus on is what we talked about at the early part of this broadcast, how hard this race is going to be on engines and particularly. And the main thing is this thing's not over with. I think I agree with Larry and Darrell as far as caution flags. I still think we're going to see some engine problems before it's all said and done, Steve.
Well, Jeff, Kurt Busch came in. They had to change the battery on that car. He told the guys, don't worry about this. I'm used to things not being easy. I'm not going to give up now.
He'll have to start at the tail end of the longest line, but still on the lead lap.
Still on the lead lap, has 4 fresh tires. Good job by that 7-8 group. But yeah, they pitted before pit road was open, so that's the reason he has to start at the back.
Kurt has really controlled himself well over here this week. He was disappointed after the All-Star race. Had an awesome race car. Awesome race car tonight. Got this battery problem. Now he's got to buckle down and see what he can do. See if he can get back up there.
16 cars on the lead lap. Kevin Harvick is the leader. He elects the outside. Ryan Newman to the inside. Kahne and Logano, row 2. Truex and Hamlin. Montoya and Boyer. Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson, the top 10. We're back under green, and Harvick's wasting no time.
Kasey Kahne got a much cleaner start that time. Matter of fact, the 56 of Martin Truex laid off of him a little bit just in case.
Here's Logano, that yellow Ford on the outside, trying to make some noise.
We talked about comers and goers. We got a lot of new players up there with Harvick in the 29, Logano in the 22, and Ryan Newman in that 39. Ryan Newman got the free pass in the early part of the race.
On the second caution flag, and now he races for second place with Kahne and Hamlin side by side for third behind them. Side by side for fifth. That's Boyer and Truex, teammates. And along comes Johnson to make that a threesome.
No, it's a 2x2x2.
And Jimmy Johnson in the 48, he came to pit road on that caution, but just topped it off with Sunoco fuel.
Oh, here we go, more trouble.
Sliding, slamming into the wall. Hold on to it. It's Johnson sideways. Montoya clips him. Oh, boy.
I think the 20 car got a big hunk of that, too. He got up into the fence. 48 of Jimmy Johnson on pit road, the 42 of Montoya going down the racetrack, and the 20 of Matt Kenseth up in turn 1. A lot of damage on that 20 car.
And it all happens on lap 332 with just over 100 miles to go, and there's the battling back at 7th place.
Just get down on it. See how close they are to each other right there going in the corner. It's a side thing where the car on the outside just starts to get a hold of that one on the inside and just pulls him around as he goes by.
And what happened, it was a chain reaction. You saw Montoya in the 42 get into Kenseth in the 20, and then Menard in that yellow 27 as well. Just started stacking up.
Tony Stewart shot right through unscathed. Riding with Johnson.
Hold on to that, baby. Hold on to it.
Spotter Earl Barbin. And we've seen many times over his career, Johnson slides, spins, absent any contact.
But watch how the 56 of Martin Truex just gets a hold of the back of that 48 car and just sucks it right around.
There's another shot of that chain reaction with Kenseth, Montoya, Menard.
Tony Stewart did an amazing job in a 14 car, going right through the middle of that and not getting involved. I also noticed the 27 car of Paul Menard got quite a bit of right front fender damage. You know what? That's exactly how it sounds. That's exactly how it is.
So Montoya got into the back of Matt Kenseth and then got that left rear damage as he slid past Jimmy Johnson. Hit Johnson in the right rear, and there's the right front on Menard, who just inked a contract extension, a multi-year extension with Richard Childress Racing.
Well, we get the hammers and the sawzalls and the bear bond. Patch them up and let's go again.
Now the duct tape capital of the world, Charlotte Motor Speedway, Sunday night under the full moon.
And pretty soon we're going to be singing After Midnight.
All of those drivers right there involved in wreck, they're still on the lead lap, including Tony Stewart in that 14.
Let's have one more look at it as Jimmy Johnson goes around and Montoya gets in the back of Matt Kenseth.
Orange Cone went for a ride.
Bad night on Coney Island. Kevin Harvick is the leader at 500 miles. On only 5 of the last 18 600s to go the distance, has the leader at 500 miles been the winner at 600 miles. We're going to take you side by side as we clean things up in Charlotte. "63 laps to go as we support Memorial Day weekend and salute the troops here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 500 miles of racing have been completed, and here are the leaders at each 100-mile post of this race. Now the eventual winner in the last 5 600s has been running in the top 3 at this point in the race, which would mean Harvick, Logano, and Newman, as Kenseth's going to have to try and rebound. Kyle Busch is out with engine failure. Casey Kane is a contender. Jimmy Johnson continues to have trouble.
We're not allowed down. They're saying just go to the rear of the field, man. Correct. He wants you to let the pace car pass him. He wants you to stop, please. We can't, man. That's going to...
Trying to put Jimmy Johnson in the proper position here. And he's got to wait on the pace car. The caution is a great break for Kurt Busch.
Oh, yeah.
He restarted 22nd because he pitted early to make that battery change. He passed several lead lap cars. Several lead lap cars got involved in the crash, so here's Kurt Busch ready to restart 10th with Harvick and Logano on the front row.
Casey Kane got that restart thing figured out. The last couple of restarts have been a lot better for him.
So Jimmy Johnson now 1 lap down. Kevin Harvick looking smooth at the front of the... Oh, Logano almost turned it around coming off turn 2.
See Clint Boyer in that 15 car on the outside of Brian Newman in the 39. I think they've just been making his car better and better as we went into the night.
Yeah, Clint Boyer won the race here last fall. That was a 500-miler, so we know he knows how to win these races at Charlotte. But, Mike, I thought you and I went to the Madhouse last night.
Bowman Gray Stadium, the little quarter mile around the football field, you bet.
These cars look like they've been racing at Bowman Gray, most of them.
Casey Kane coming after the lead. He likes the high side and usually gets that good run up off turn number 2. Let's see where he tries Harvick.
Well, at different periods of the night here, that 5 car's been superior to everything. And right now, it's coming on at the right time. This thing is on a rope and it's going somewhere.
High, wide, and handsome off turn 2, and Kane just ran the fastest lap of the race. 3/10 quicker than the previous fast lap, and he's got the lead again.
28:10. I mean, that's an incredible speed.
We're getting late in the race.
That's qualifying speed.
Yeah, Casey Kane got such a good run the last time through 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 up there on the top side of the racetrack.
The nighttime is turning out to be the right time for Kane as Mark Truex and Tony Stewart battle for 9th.
But, Mike, a car that can run with Casey Kane, and he will get there, I believe, is the 78 car of Kurt Busch. He's already up to 5th. Kurt Busch in the 78 is coming.
See Marcus Ambrose in that 9 car just outside the top 10. Remember, a lot of damage to his race car with that cable and that rope back on back lap 122.
Ambrose 11th of 15 lead lap cars. And one of Matt Kenseth, he restarted last car on the lead lap, and he has not been able to close. Flat tire for Jimmy Johnson. He was 1 lap down, he's now 2.
Yeah, we're hearing that he actually got back up into the wall.
Yeah, he's got a lot of damage on that car, Larry. I'm not surprised. The right rear quarter panel is destroyed.
Johnson came in as the point standing leader. And here is Kenseth. I've seen a lot of sparks from underneath that car. They patched it together as best he could. He had a contender, a possible race winner, after getting taken out in the crash with Johnson and Montoya.
He's the last driver on the lead lap back in 15th, but he's about a 1.5 to 2 3/4 off of Casey Kane in the 5-hour leader.
And just think, his trouble started on that miscommunication coming to pit road.
Just got off sequence
and
then had to make that stop, and then the caution comes out.
They just got their game plan all messed up.
Montoya back to pit road with further damage. Casey Kane, fastest in practice. Best 5-lap average, best 10-lap average, fastest in both practices yesterday, clearly establishing himself as a favorite for tonight's race.
Watch Montoya up here. He's trying to get on pit road, and here comes Matt Kenseth in the 20 car, and they almost collide again.
Wow.
That'd like to have been big right there.
That would have been huge.
Pulling a right rear fender on Montoya's car for clearance. Tough night in Charlotte for one, under the full moon, which has done very strange things here since about lap 240. Since that time, 7 of the 10 caution flags.
Well, we didn't know there. Well, I mean, we knew there was a full moon, but it didn't rear its head until it got dark. And then we could see it, and then it did its thing.
And with all these cautions, our top 4 drivers, which would be Kane, Harvick, Logano, and Newman, they've not been on pit road since lap 306. They'll have to be on pit road for a green flag stop in about 6 to 10 laps.
We listened in on race leader Casey Kane and his team.
I just want to try to get away, right? Yeah, 10-4, try to get away.
Who can blame it?
I love that. You want me to just get away, right? Yeah, just go ahead and get away, because that's exactly what he's doing. He is putting down some fast laps, much faster than anybody else. 28.81 that time by to a 29.13.
Yeah, we're going to stay out as long, pretty good bit here. We're going to stay out a while. We got about probably 12, 14 more laps.
And the one reason they can run further, we talked about it earlier, so many cautions with that 2-to-1 caution to green flag ratio.
4th and 5th.
I am thoroughly impressed with that 78 car. What a job they did. Change the battery, running 5th.
Yep, Ryan Newman, Kurt Busch, 4th and 5th, about 4 seconds behind the race leader, Casey Kane. Matt?
And you heard Casey Kane and Kenny Francis talking about their strategy as far as fuel and how far they can go. Very similar to the guy that's trying to chase them, the 29 of Kevin Harvick. They can go to almost lap 370. And Gil Martin was telling Kevin about their strategy as far as 1 can and 2 tires. There's going to be a lot of strategy up and down pit road, Larry Mack.
Yeah, Matt, regardless, if you look at our top 14 drivers all on the lead lap, everyone will have to make a pit stop at some point to make it to the end.
Where's that 78 car at? What's his sequence?
He last pitted at lap 327, Darrell, so he can go for quite a while as well, because remember, when he came to pit road to change the battery, they got 4 tires.
He could probably go an extra 15 or 20 laps from some of the other leaders. Behind him is Clint Boyer in 6th place. I think that's about as high as Clint has run all night. Didn't get off to a great start here. Started 5th, but faded just a bit and has worked his way back up into the top half dozen. Joe Gibbs Racing dominated early. At one point in this race, they had all the top 3 positions, but Denny Hamlin is the highest Gibbs Toyota right now in 7th. And here's the 2nd best Ford in the race right now. Joey Logano 3rd. Carl Edwards in 8th place. That blue and white Ford coming into view. Krista.
And Carl Edwards has been relatively quiet all night. They qualified 13th in this race, and he was unhappy with that. He said, I know we've got a faster car, so they've just been plugging away at it tonight. Right now, their water temp running just a little bit high.
Tony Stewart started 25th. He's had a strong march through the field up into the top 10.
And he last pitted at lap 335, so he can go almost to about 10 to 15 laps to go. Just a little splash of fuel for him if we stay green.
That would be my plan. In and out.
Martin Truex Jr. His Michael Waltrip Toyota running in 10th after starting 17th tonight. He's 9.5 seconds off the lead. Has the best average finish here at Charlotte over the last stretch of anybody in the field. And Marcus Ambrose, who had to replace a brake line during the first red flag period, got a free pass, and he's up to 11th.
It's good to see Marcus running 11th. I mean, the trials and tribulations they've been through over here for the last 2 weeks, it's good to just see them have a car that he can drive tonight.
See Jeff Burton here riding with him in the 31 car. The biggest thing you could say about Jeff Burton, he has stayed out of trouble tonight. He's just been plugging along. Started back in the 27th position. Here he is in 12th.
Last car on the lead lap will be the number 27 of Paul Menard.
Another nice job of fixing that right front fender damage and keeping him in the hunt.
Pulling up on Bobby Labonte in the 47, who got his first career win here at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the 600 some years ago when he was driving for Joe Gibbs.
You know, another reason I think Kenny Francis told Casey Kane in that 5 car to get as big a lead as you can. I don't think they want to wait in pit as late as possible. They don't want to get burnt like some of those drivers did a while ago by making a green flag stop and then a caution coming out.
Casey Kane got a new good luck charm this week at the Speedway Children's Charities live auction. Bid and bought a yellow Labrador pup. Not sure Casey's getting a lot of sleep, but I'm sure he's having a lot of fun with that new puppy.
Well, the other thing Kasey Kahne's trying to accomplish, something that only one man in the history of the Coca-Cola 600 has accomplished, 4 or more 600 wins. The other one, our Darrell Waltrip with 5.
In the last 7 Coca-Cola 600s, Kasey Kahne is the only repeat winner 3 times in the last 7 years.
Tell you what, guys, you have to be also pretty impressed with the guy running second, Kevin Harvick. He has all night long gradually, slowly worked his way into a pretty good position right here, Larry. Things could work his way. It's not over for Kevin Harvick by any means.
It's never over for Kevin Harvick.
You never know what he's going to do.
That Folds of Honor paint scheme on Harvick's Chevrolet. 42 laps to go in the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte. Kasey Kahne with a 3.5-second lead.
Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, proudly supporting our military for 100 years. Show your support for our troops at Goodyear.com. Goodyear, official tire of NASCAR. 37 to go, and Kasey Kahne, the leader. Maybe the final round of pit stops. So let's check in with Matt Yoakum.
And Kasey Kahne on his way down pit road. But meanwhile, there's Denny Hamlin in the 11. He said he needs to be tightened up just a tick. Meanwhile, the 5, Kasey Kahne, trying to score his 4th 600 to win. You can see they're making a track bar adjustment. Kahne called it. Wanted just a slight track bar adjustment to free him up on this run. Chris?
All right, thanks very much, Michael Waltrip.
It's tense time for Kasey Kahne and these guys. We saw Matt Kenseth earlier in the race get bit by a caution coming out during green flag pit stops. Kasey's got the dominant car, but you can see there's guys that are pitting. We also have Kurt Busch, who can stay out on the track for many more laps before he'll have to pit. Kasey and Kenny Francis, that whole 5 team is very nervous right now.
Logano is pitted, Boyer, and now Ambrose.
That's right.
Among the lead lap cars. Steve.
Marcus Ambrose on pit road, right side tires. Some of the teams talking about taking just 2, but Ambrose will take 4. Doesn't need all the gas. 4 tires for Marcus Ambrose.
Right, Steve, just 34 laps to go. Don't quite need a full fuel load. And thought we'd have a few more takers. Harvick and Newman stay out. They last pitted at lap 306. And Harvick coming this time, bringing the Bud Chevy.
When you don't need a full load of fuel, it's what you call a time stop. You know when you're going to go.
Ryan Newman will pick up the lead with Harvick stop. Danica tagged the wall in turn 4, but she makes it to pit road and will stay green. Harvick in for service, Matt.
Kevin Harvick slides to a stop. They could have gone to lap 370. The early game plan, chassis adjustment and right side tires, but they're going to call the audible now and go with 4 for Harvick. Krista.
Matt, Ryan Newman has been relatively quiet all weekend. He joked that we are taking the Tiger Woods approach. Wait until Sunday. Guess what? They also may be taking a pretty big swing because they don't need that full load of fuel. Their plan is just 2 tires.
Tony Stewart, the leader, as Kurt Busch comes in for what he hopes is his final stop, Steve.
And Mike, they thought about staying out to about lap 380 and taking 2 tires, but Todd Berrier changed his mind. 4 tires so they can get them on earlier and make a run to the front.
See Tony Stewart now in his 14 car. He's our leader. Remember, he last pitted at lap 335. We feel like he can go somewhere between 10 to 15 laps to go in this race before he has to make a stop for a splash of fuel.
Yeah, I think he's in a really good spot right now, Larry, because he's going to be able to spend the least amount of time on pit road.
Carl Edwards in second and Jeff Burton in third are going to have to be in soon. The question mark could be Paul Menard, who was last in at lap 337. Matt Kenseth comes in for his hopefully final stop, Steve.
And Matt Kenseth is struggling just to hang on, Mike. He just told Jason Ratcliffe, I'm so sideways loose, I can hardly hold on to it. 4 tires for Matt Kenseth. Krista.
Jeff Burton also in for the 4-tire stop. He said he's tight in the middle, loose everywhere else. He's been tight all night long.
For example, Kevin Harvick's running 29 flat. That's a second faster than second place Carl Edwards and 1.3 faster than third place Jeff Burton, who's just come on to pit road for his stop along with Regan Smith. So Edwards and Stewart and Menard are not going to be able to stay out there for long.
Watch the 29 car here. Kevin Harvick gets the 99 and Carl Edwards up on the outside. 48 slow on the bottom. Harvick has to really do a nice job of kind of threading his way right through this mess. He's got a faster car than all those guys. Nice job. Runs up on the back of the 32 and clears him, and away he goes.
Well, and the one thing he has right there, he has those 4 fresh tires versus a lot of those other drivers.
Oh, yeah. It makes you feel good, and you go fast. You feel like Superman.
Now, when pit stops cycle through, Harvick will be the 3rd place car. Ryan Newman 5th. Tony Stewart is the leader. Stewart will have to stop. So will Carl Edwards and Paul Menard.
One thing I have noticed.
Bring it to us next time.
Sounds like they may be bringing Tony Stewart in this next time. That was Steve Addington, his crew chief. But one thing I have noticed about Paul Menard, it looks like Slugger Labby has definitely slowed him down. Paul Menard last pitted at lap 337. That's 63 laps. Clint Boyer did win this race in the fall by going 56 laps.
But Menard is giving up a second a lap to Casey Kane, who has fresh tires and is 1 spot behind him. Here's Stewart.
Give up what have you got to give up? It's your only chance. Go for it.
Okay. That will turn the lead to Carl Edwards as Stewart rolls into his pit stall, Steve.
And Mike, one thing I've heard Tony Stewart say late in this race, as it has gone on, he said, I've been able to get to the gas and commit to it. The gas pedal, that is, so they are handling pretty well.
This would definitely be one of Tony Stewart's better runs of 2013, absolutely.
So it's down to Edwards and Menard. 1st and 2nd. Edwards last stop at 3:28. Menard 9 laps later.
Actually, Larry, it's a good night for Stewart Haas when you look at it. I mean, Tony Stewart's running good. Ryan Newman's been in the top 5 tonight. And Danica wasn't running that bad until she got in that wreck.
And we felt like they would figure some things out.
There's Carl Edwards at the line. Kurt Busch will unlap himself from the race leader. Busch on fresher tires. Here comes Denny Hamlin on quicker tires, and if we stay green, these cars will have to make pit stops and fall at least to the tail end of the lead lap. And that would put Casey Kane back out front in front of Kevin Harvick and Ryan Newman.
I like a little drama here, a little strategy. You know, 27, Paul Menard, is he going to stay out and try to milk this thing to the finish? What are these other boys going to do?
4th and 5th place. Now they are 23 seconds behind Edwards and about 9 seconds behind Menard.
And they would be roughly 4 seconds behind Casey Kane, who's already been to pit road in that 5 car. And we know for a fact Carl Edwards in the 99, he will absolutely come to pit road. Still not really sure. That would be a long way, especially when I look at the lap times that Paul Menard's running right now.
Yeah, I think so, Larry. And there's no way he's going to be able to hold off Casey Kane.
No.
Casey Kane's coming like a freight train right now.
Yeah, 3/4 of a second to a second a lap.
But he might be able to get a better finish than he would if he stopped, if he can make it.
Carl Edwards the leader. In a long time since he's been to pit road. 51 laps. Some of those were under caution.
Well, you see the difference of fresh tires right there on Tony Stewart in that 14. Huge.
Yeah, about a little over a second difference in lap time.
So here's our sprint, 20 to go. Edwards will have to stop. We believe so will Paul Menard. And with 10 cautions for 58 laps, 2 red flags, and 25 lead changes among 11 leaders, Casey Kane is in position to score his 4th victory in the Coca-Cola 600. Kevin Harvick, the closer, got to the front, and won the Coca-Cola 500. But with 100 miles left to go, can Harvick get back on point and seal the deal? Edwards is in. Krista?
2 tires and a splash of Sunoco fuel. That's the command for Carl Edwards.
Now Paul Menard stopped about 8 laps after Edwards that last time around. We'll see how far he can go as he leads Kasey Kahne by 3 seconds.
Yeah, at the time differential we're seeing right now, Kasey Kahne would catch him in about 6 laps. He's now on pit road.
Here he comes.
And Kahne flashes past and reassumes the lead as Menard makes his final stop. Steve.
It's going to be right sides only for Paul Menard. And Mike, they've done a great job. They've never been able to get the tightness out of that race car, but still, they've been close to the top 10 all night. 2 tires for Paul Menard.
Yeah, great job by that team. Slugger Labby and that group to be able to patch that thing up and keep him in the hunt. Nice job.
So now Kevin Harvick's task is to erase a 3-second deficit to race leader Kasey Kahne.
He would have to be holding back a lot to be able to do that, Mike. Kahne is just, again, as he has been most of the night, he just seemed to be able to run ever how fast he needs to right now.
This is a battle for 4th. Joey Logano on that 22 car. You see Clint Boyer in the 15, and here comes Kurt Busch in that 78, trying to get back to the top 5.
78. Oh, we got a caution, guys.
Yellows out, yellows out, yellows out, yellows out, yellows out.
Well, that changes everything.
Hello.
Debris on the front straightaway gives us our 11th caution flag tonight at lap 384. 16 laps to go.
With all the damage so many of these cars have out there, I have no idea. That could have come off the 20. It could have come off the 48. There's a bunch of cars riding around with a lot of patches on them. Talena Harvick there watching. I think you see out the right side of the 48 car there.
Yeah, there could have been a patch panel on Jimmy Johnson's
parts are missing.
Or crush panel.
Now, we had cycled through the green flag pit stops. We're going to have probably about 11 or 12 laps to go. Paul Menard gets the free pass on that caution right there, back on the lead lap. I think we will see strategy. With only 12 drivers now, 13 on the lead lap, I think we're going to see all types of strategy. But I think if you're at the back of the lead lap drivers, come to pit road and get 4 tires and get after it.
Man, we've seen tires make such a huge difference. And there's still enough distance to go in this race. 4 tires might just pay off.
If you're Kurt Busch on back, 6th on back, I would imagine you're coming for tires, and I wouldn't be surprised if 1 or 2 of the top 5 did.
Well, Kasey Kahne in the 5-hour leader, he has 20 laps on those tires. That's almost a half of a fuel run.
And here's what happens to you. You're sitting there comfortable. The car is fastest car out there, but man, this changes everything. What if you stay out? Other guys come in, you're a sitting duck, sort of. I'm not saying
like Matt Kenseth was earlier. Everybody else came in. We're told that Kurt Busch will come in from 6th place. Let's see what the leaders do. They have to commit before the orange cone. There it is at the end of that red triangle. Kahne stays out.
Here they come.
2nd on back, and Kasey Kahne is going to learn what it's like to be Matt Kenseth.
Do you know, remember the race he won over here? And I said this very thing. He stayed out on old tires. I said, they'll eat him up. He won the race.
He must know something. For he and Kenny Francis to have made that decision and stay out with only 14 to go. Matt.
Mike, the 5 team debated the scenarios. They decided to stay out, while Kevin Harvick and his group, they came for 2 tires.
I think the 2 right side tires, I think that's the way to go. And I'm seeing a lot of drivers in their teams that went that way, including like Clint Boyer in the 15. You can see all of them that basically went with 2 right side tires.
Martin Truex gained 3 positions that way because everyone behind him took 4 tires from Joey Logano, 8th place on back.
I just know that in the past over here, we've seen staying out on old tires pay off. But I'm just not sure. We've seen a lot of tire wear tonight, and there's a big difference in new tires versus used tires. I don't know about that call, guys.
Earlier in the evening, Matt Kenseth ran very well on orange tires.
Only driver he couldn't hold off was Kasey Kahne.
We were all very impressed with what Matt Kenseth could do with a very fast car on those older tires. I'm sure that played into Kenny Francis's decision to leave Kasey Kahne out. He only is going to have to run about 10 or 12 laps to win this baby. But guys, Kevin Harvick was matching Kasey Kahne's lap times as the race was winding down. So the closer is on it. He could be a real factor.
That time earlier.
And don't forget, Michael, Kasey Kahne has struggled on every restart tonight. The last couple have been better than some of the earlier ones, but he has had trouble on restarts. That could bite him.
Darrell, we're going to get about a 10-lap short track style shootout under the full moon to settle this one.
Oh, well, that's what I've been waiting for.
Yes, 575 miles we've driven to get to this point.
Yes, sir.
Just saw Delana Harvick there, Kevin's wife. I know we're a third of the way through 2013. It was known before 2012 ended that Kevin Harvick will be leaving Richard Childress Racing at the end of this year. These guys are not giving up, and Kevin told us that a few weeks ago, that it's business as usual to the checkered flag at Homestead.
No lame duck dynasty here. They're on it. They're in it to win it. He wants to leave Childress better than it was when he got there.
It's the only Sprint Cup team he's driven for in his career. All right, we listened in on Kasey Kahne's team once again.
Did anyone stay out, Kenny? I think they all came. Every one of them. Even the ones that just skated like 2 laps ago. Oh boy.
I know how that feels. Oh boy.
But as with Matt Kenseth, it wasn't a bad call to stay out. If he's good on worn tires, it wasn't a bad call. And I think, Larry, drivers right behind him having only 2 and not 4 fresh tires, that may fall in Kasey Kahne's favor.
Well, and the longer we run here under this caution, letting those tires cool down, that's in Kasey Kahne's favor. You know, that was not a bad call that Kenny Francis made. He's the one that had to set the benchmark to whether to come to pit road or stay. I think when he stayed, that's probably what led drivers like Kevin Harvick and Ryan Newman and others to hit pit road.
The call will work out fine if Kasey gets a good restart. But if he gets a bad restart, he's starting on the outside. His car's been pretty good up high. But, buddy, if a couple of guys get out there and ahead of him on new tires, he might be in trouble.
More than 5 hours of racing. Kyle Busch in the garage, blown engine. Jeff Gordon crashed. Dale Earnhardt Jr., blown engine. Jimmy Johnson all taped up. Matt Kenseth piled into after leading a lot of laps. 2 red flag periods, 11 caution flags, and it's going to come down to an 11-lap shootout where the number 5 of Kasey Kahne on worn tires tries to hold off Kevin Harvick and others on 2 tires, and from Joey Logano in 8th place, the yellow car on back, they have 4 fresh tires, and they've got to figure out what to do for 11 laps.
There's 2 guys back there that I really like. I like that 78 car. Kurt Busch been fast all night. That 11 at Denny Hamlin. I tell you, this thing is a long way from over. This could get really, really exciting.
I'm not going to count that 39 of Newman out either there.
Here we come to complete 389 of 400 laps, 11 laps to go. Kahne on the outside, Harvick inside. Good even restart. Newman looking both ways. Busch to the outside, 3 wide into the corner. Kurt Busch trying to make it happen in that 78.
There he's going, man. He's got that outside line, and then Kurt Busch is going somewhere down that back straightaway.
Smoke from Denny Hamlin in 4th in the 11. 10 to go when they come back.
Boy, Kurt Busch to the bottom. 78 just turned it down to the bottom of that racetrack.
The little engine that could. The single car team from Denver, Colorado. Up to 3rd, chasing Harvick and Kahne.
What a night for Kurt Busch. Battery problems, car wouldn't fire. They had to push it in, put a battery in it. Here he is with a shot at maybe getting up there and winning this thing.
Tony Stewart from 9th coming. Here is Ryan Newman alongside Denny Hamlin, the pole sitter, fighting for 4th.
And we know where our leader came from, but he has done an amazing job tonight. Kevin Harvick in that 29 car. This would be huge for that 29 team. Richard Childress, Kevin Harvick. What a night.
Busch closing on Kahne for 2nd.
Yeah, Casey Kane's lap in the 5 that time was a little quicker than Harvick in the 29 and Kurt Busch in the 78.
13 cars on the lead lap to settle it in Charlotte. 8 to go.
Yeah, right now, Casey Kane in the 5 car. He cannot worry about Kurt Busch. He's got to set his sights on that 29 car of Kevin Harvick and see if he can chase him down.
The cars with new tires. Logano is up to 6th. Tony Stewart to 7th. But will they run out of time?
Darrell, it just appeared that Kevin Harvick knew he better get it on that restart. That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, and he's pretty good on those restarts too, buddy.
Busch to the bottom again.
Yeah, Kane up the hill a little bit. It opened the door for a second for Kurt Busch in the 78. Wasn't able to make the pass.
That's been the line for 2 that Casey Kane has liked all night, to get that jump off the corner and try to close the 0.6 of a second he lacks to race leader Kevin Harvick. Logano will challenge Newman for 5th. Stewart right behind. Remember, they have 4 fresh tires.
Harvick is pulling away. He's a 10th quicker that lap by.
Kurt Busch in the 78 on the left-hand side. He almost got too low on the racetrack. Hit that apron. You could see the sparks flying.
Joey Logano, 23 years old on Friday, and he's running Ryan Newman for the top 5 and gets the spot.
He's got him, and that car would, if he didn't run out of laps. Oh, I thought Stewart almost nailed the wall off before, but he saved it.
5 laps to go. A long night of racing in Charlotte, and just like the All-Star race last Saturday night, it comes down to a 10-lap shootout. This time, though, Kevin Harvick out front.
I didn't think Kevin Harvick could run off and leave Casey Kane in the 5. Watch Delana. I mean, she is really, she's praying right now. Can't watch. I know, I can't tell how many times Stevie told me that's how she felt. I just can't watch.
We watched Kurt Busch in the 78 just a second ago really making a run at Casey Kane in the 5, but now he's lost ground, and in fact, he's got a rearview mirror full of Denny Hamlin in that 11.
Hamlin and Logano last time by were the quickest cars on the racetrack in 4th and 5th. And they're coming after Kane.
But how about Denny Hamlin? He has to sit out for a month of racing, over a month. Second at Darlington a couple of weeks ago, working on another top 5 finish.
Well, that's what he's got to do, Larry, and he knows it. He's got to get himself in the top 20 in points if he's got any shot at all of making the chase. Got to get in the top 20 first, then he got to get a couple of wins.
Get that wild card.
Rounding turn 4, coming to 2 laps to go. Bakersfield, California's Kevin Harvick.
He is putting down, Kevin Harvick is putting down some of the best laps, consistent laps I've seen all night long. 28 O's, 29 O's, 29 10s, right in that range.
Kurt Busch, Casey Kane. But Denny Hamlin's 11 and the 22 of Logano closing in.
Larry, what's it feel like as a crew chief when you made the call to stay out and you're not going to win the race? Probably the fastest.
Don't drive any harder you've been doing. Don't have to do any harder. Way back there.
Sick feeling.
A 1.7 second lead for Harvick. The scramble's going to be for second. Kane, Busch, Hamlin, Logano may end up 4 cars under a blanket for second. Rounding turn 4 for the 22nd win of his Cup career. The Coca-Cola 600 goes to Kevin Harvick.
He did it.
Casey
Great
Kane
job, man. Great job.
holds off Kurt Busch.
Thank you.
With Denny Hamlin 4th and Joey Logano 5th. Newman, Stewart, Boyer, Truex, and Ambrose the top 10.
Love Gil Martin, great crew chief, buddy of mine from home. Nice job tonight. 29 team, the 29er.
Harvick gets the 5th multiple win season of his Cup career. For Richard Childress, his car owner, career win number 103 and his 5th in the Coca-Cola 600.
This man here, he knows how to do a burnout.
Looks rather calm in there, doesn't he? Doesn't seem to be all that excited. That's what you call melting them down right there. Scorching the hides. Woohoo!
Kevin Harvick stopped for 2 tires with 14 laps to go. And that produced the 5-hour energy big move of the race. Kasey Kahne stays out. Kevin Harvick comes in for 2 tires, leaves pit road first, and on the restart, Kahne chose the outside. That's been the preferred line for Kahne all night, but Kevin Harvick got the jump, and that's a 5-hour energy move of the race. Kevin Harvick has won the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte. More in a moment from NASCAR on Fox.
For Kevin Harvick, a 15-to-1 betting choice in Las Vegas. And wearing I should have a patriotic paint scheme, folds of honor on his car. Congratulations. And Steve Burns is there for the celebration.
Well, Kevin Harvick, winner of the Coca-Cola 600. You've won a lot of big races in your career. What does this win say about you in this 2019?
Well, first off, I want to say I hope everybody's okay from that cable. That's quite a weird incident there. Second, I want to just say thank you to all these guys at RCR. To win in Charlotte is something that we had to overcome for a long time. We kind of won it on gas mileage last time. We just went and won it this time. So just got to thank everybody from Budweiser, Sprint, all the fans. Got this great promotion with the Folds of Honor, special beer cans. So 5 cents goes from every can to Folds of Honor.
Kevin, the big question I'm curious about, how did you win this race?
Well, it was a good strategy call there, and the 5 stayed out, and we were able to have a little bit fresher tires, get in front of him on the restart. But just got to thank everybody, Jimmy John's, Ream, Hunt Brothers, Realtree, everybody who makes this Chevrolet go around.
All right, congratulations, Kevin Harvick, winner of the Coca-Cola 600. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Steve, Kasey Kahne not only had the car to beat most of the weekend, but especially tonight. But break down the decision process between yourself and Kenny on staying out while the others pitted.
Well, it was just, there's a couple guys that had just got tires, so we thought they'd stay out. You know, they're probably around 10th or 12th. So if they stay out, then we have a couple, you know, where ours are hot and so are theirs, so didn't think it'd be a big deal. We could get away. That didn't happen. The whole field pitted, so it was we were in a tough spot. I bet if we pit, some of them don't, you know, so I think we're just in a tough spot right there. But we had a great Time Warner Cable Chevy all night. The guys in the pit stops were great. Kenny made awesome calls, and I knew Kevin would be good. He's been fast all weekend. Matt was fast, and Kyle early on, and Kurt. So it was, you know, we raced all day, and I thought we were in a really good position there at the end, and just didn't get it done.
Kasey Kahne second here in Charlotte, Krista.
Well, to come back from a battery issue to finish third, you would think is a good night for Kurt Busch, but competitors are out here to race 600 miles to win. So how do you leave this track feeling?
Still shell-shocked. You know, we picked up the lead and then the battery went dead. So, you know, I don't know what to think of that, but, you know, we battled back. The guys changed it as fast as they could, and we got third. We had a good car. You got to be perfect to win these things, and I was close. We weren't quite there, but thanks to Furniture Row and Monster Energy, it was a great night to run up front and showcase what this team's made of.
There's mixed emotions for Kurt Busch. Chris?
Thanks, Kristen. You heard the winner, Kevin Harvick, talk about the paint scheme, Folds of Honor, the donation. It ensures that no military family gets left behind through scholarships and other assistance. So we're practically at Memorial Day on the East Coast. And Kevin Harvick, your winner. More on the Sprint post-race show in a moment.
Sorry about that. Good job tonight. Damn, I can't believe at least 4 or 5 guys didn't try to steal one there. Can't believe it. Oh, well. Sorry, man. You did a great job.
Voice of Crew Chief Kenny Francis for Kasey Kahne in the 5 car. We welcome you back. We're live on the Sprint post-race show from Charlotte Motor Speedway as Kevin Harvick hoists the victory. Didn't lead this race until the 5 400th mile as we look at the unofficial results. Welcoming you back with Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers.
I think we've done a nice job of explaining how cars get different at night when it gets dark and fast. Harvick took advantage of that and was able to beat Casey Kane late.
How about Marcus Ambrose finishing 10th? He was one of the cars involved with Kyle Busch. The fiber rope from the overhead camera on Fox that affected the race, and also immediate concern for those 10 injured fans. By the way, Charlotte Motor Speedway reporting minor injuries, none of those life-threatening for those fans.
And throughout this finishing order, there's 10 of the top 15 in points that were involved in crashes or had engine troubles. So a major shakeup in the point standings.
Eric Almirola from Tampa in the top 10 in points. One of those involved, Jeff Gordon. Look at Brad Keselowski, our reigning champ. He misses his crew chief, Paul Wolfe, who returns next Sunday.
Certainly does. When they went to Texas, he was second in the points. Now he's almost fallen outside the top 10.
And Denny Hamlin continuing his march back from back problems that took him out of racing in March after racing through Darlington. A fourth place finish. He's with Matt Yoakum.
A near win at Darlington for Denny Hamlin, another strong top 5 finish here in the Coca-Cola 600. But how would you describe all the chaos with the final restart?
You know, it was, I thought we were in a position where we could have made some noise, but I just could not get my car to go on restarts. You know, I got to be more aggressive. There's some things I got to do to be better, but we just hung around the top 5 all night. Couldn't make a whole lot of noise. It was so hard to pass. It was after about 3-4 laps after a restart, you were pretty much locked in the position you were going to be in. You know, so I'm happy with our day, but not overjoyed, I guess you could say.
All right, thanks very much. These are the point standings that we're a third of the way through NASCAR season, 12 of 36, but 14 races until the chase begins. Michael, what has your attention here?
Well, like I said, Brad Keselowski, they had penalties at Texas. He's almost outside the top 10, just 3 points to the good with no wins. Kyle Busch has got wins and outside of the top 10.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. to 6th. That DNF did not finish his worst of the season here. And just outside, look where Jeff Gordon wound up. Kyle Busch slipped out of the top 10 to 11th, you saw moments ago. And look where Tony Stewart is, still looking for his first win of the season.
Yeah, but he's climbed his way inside the top 20 in points. We know he's strong during the summer months, so look for Tony to get a win and still be a threat for this championship.
No full moon, a lot has happened tonight in the 400th consecutive race for Kevin Harvick in the 29 car, the 37-year-old from California in victory lane.